Welcome everybody to Conspiracy or Not. Here we come, number 29. It's Friday, February 24th. How y'all doing today, guys?
Great.
Hanging in here.
So I'm again with my co-host Aaron, our lovely co-host Amy, and we're proud to present our special guest today, Serebra Sana.
Hi everybody.
How you doing,
Who
Serebra?
we have with us today, Serebra Sana. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's quite an honor. I'm happy to be here with everybody.
Listen, we love doing this show, and one of the main reasons we love doing this show is we get to speak to people literally all around the world. It's almost like having a syndicated radio show, and we just love getting the perspectives of all kind of different people. We have friends in Australia and Denmark and England, and Ian's in Pacific Northwest and BC, Canada. Amy and I are, she's in the northeast of America. I'm in the southeast of America. We pretty much have the whole world covered. Serebra Sana is in Paris. So, welcome.
Thank you very much.
How's everybody's week?
Busy as usual. There's been a lot of stuff going on, in the news, a lot of stuff in the personal life.
Well, I've been pretty sick this week, so I'm going to hang in here. See how my voice turns out for the next 3 hours. So,
yeah, everybody give Ian a little love. He's feeling very under the weather tonight, so we're going to proceed as usual. And by the way, for everybody just tuning in, I want to remind you all that tomorrow at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will have Thomas Sheridan as a guest tomorrow. So there's that, and I'll remind you all a couple more times throughout the show as people continue to tune in. So Serebra, one more time, thank you again for joining us. And a lot of us love your show and your channel, and you do great work over there. And by the way, I've been following you for quite a while, and I'm really surprised that your sub count is not up to what I think it should be. I think you deserve a lot more subs for what you're doing over there.
Thank you. That's very sweet. But you know what? I don't even look at the sub count really anymore, because once you know that it can be manipulated, and it is manipulated, I lost about 40 subs in a week once, and I just saw my numbers drop, and it sort of was like, what? And I went in and I looked at the stats, and a lot of those people who were no longer subbing me were channels that just ceased to exist. So that sort of sent up a red flag as to, like, were they even fake? Were they even real subs to begin with? Or was it one guy running 40 accounts? Or, it's like, I really don't get concerned about it. When somebody subs me, I'm happy. But if I've got fake people out there, that serves no purpose, so. And, people can buy the views. They can buy their subs. They can buy bots to click views and all that. So I don't really get overly concerned with that, but thank you for appreciating what I do, because it is hard work to make a decent video, as you guys know. So it's always nice to know that the real people, the humans with eyes and ears and brains, it's that I'm communicating with somebody. So that's why I do it. So thank you.
All right, Serebra, I subbed to you a couple of years back with the Charlie Hebdo attack that took place in Paris.
Yes.
I think that's where I first found out about you. And also, I believe Maddie D for Truth, which I know you did an interview with him just some time ago.
Long time ago, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, he was. I learned of your channel through his channel as well. So,
Yeah.
So
looks like we've lost Amy. She's not here with us. She was, but
oh
hopefully she'll be back.
yeah, sure.
I didn't even realize.
I just wanted to
Yeah.
say, Ian, you said you're sick and not feeling well. How about some fresh squeezed organic orange juice? Not
Oh, I would love some. Send it over. It should only cost about $3,000 for the shipping.
that would be 3,200 euros.
That's 3,300 euros.
You know, as a comical side note, we started this show a while ago, and Ian's wife Veronica actually reached out to Jim Fetzer. And whatever you guys think about Jim Fetzer, I don't care. He was just a guest. Veronica acquired our first distinguished guest, Jim Fetzer, and as a thank you, Veronica likes to collect keychains, and so she asked me if I would send her a keychain, and I did. And the keychain was only, I don't know, $5 or $6, and it cost me $36 as a tariff tax to send it to Canada.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Crazy.
Hey, Amy, how are you? Are you there?
Amy made it back. Amy, can
She's
you?
here, but you can't hear her.
I'm sorry. I'm back. Okay.
There you are. There you are. Very good.
Yeah,
How are you?
I had some problems with my browser, and I had to restart the browser. So.
Okay.
How you doing, Amy?
Oh, I'm hanging in here. Kind of tired, but you know, I'll get through it.
Here we are already. We got our house troll already.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Hi, Michael. How you doing, house troll? Because no
Okay.
one likes us. That's why we blocked them. Anyway.
All right. Well, we got Dean's dude. Hey, Dean's. Good to see you there. All right. So, Serebra, you have done some really tremendous work, and as somebody who lives in Paris, one of the first things I want to ask you is, you don't seem to have much of a French accent. So, were you born in Paris?
No, I wasn't born in Paris, but I'm multicultural. So I sort of have lots of different nationalities inside of me, and depending on who I'm talking to and who I'm with, the accent will come out or not. So.
Right.
And am I mistaken? Do you also speak Italian?
I speak fluent Italian and fluent Spanish from Latin America. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So if I'm in Italy with the Italians, they think I'm from Italy. So, and then when I'm speaking Spanish, they think I'm from Argentina. I speak Spanish with the Argentine accent.
Oh, you've got the Castilian, the Castellano.
Claro que sí.
Awesome.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
No, I don't say Barcelona. I say Barcelona. Barcelona.
Barcelona.
Barcelona.
The Argentines speak a form of Spanish that is very, very close to Italian. They have the same sounds, the same music. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, good.
Okay. Go ahead, Ian.
So what's new in the news? Anything exciting besides, Trump this and Trump that?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, there is something new in the news that I wanted to bring to your attention. There's an article, and I can do a screen share, but it'll take me a moment. I don't have it queued up at the moment. I do have my notes here with me as usual. The Arizona Senate has voted or is in the process of voting or about to vote. Okay, get this now. To seize the assets of those who plan or participate in protests that turn violent. Okay, so this is the state of Arizona. This is not nationwide. This is the state of Arizona Senate is voting to seize the assets of those who plan and participate in protests that turn violent. In fact, while we discuss that, I want to go ahead and pull that up, and then I'll do a screen share in a moment, because reading this article, there's some interesting tells, if you will. So what do you think about that? I mean, we know about agent provocateurs.
Exactly.
So can you just imagine what the elites are doing? I mean, can you just imagine the unbelievable, disgusting, evil arrogance involved in being party to creating provocateurs and then creating legislation that would allow them to seize the assets of basically regular people, peaceful protesters, who find themselves engaged in a protest, who happen to be infiltrated by provocateurs, and then maybe get arrested, and then have their freaking assets seized? How fucking evil does, I mean, sorry, I'm dropping F-bombs already, but I mean, really, if you're not pissed off, you're not paying attention.
Can I say something about that?
Please.
One of the things that's happening in the news here in France is we've got a lot of police brutality cases going on at the moment, and one of them involves this young guy who was 22 years old who was arrested or stopped by the cops and ended up in the hospital with a 10-centimeter anal wound from some sort of baton that they used allegedly that slipped out of someone's hands, and the boy's pants just happened to fall off, and the baton somehow accidentally was able to inflict this wound on this poor kid. And he's got like 60 days of sick leave and you know, I think we had a colostomy bag or something on the poor kid. Anyway, so all this to say there's been outrage at this. And there were demonstrations that were peaceful that went violent. And again, they were like, it's not us who's the violent people. It's they send out these troops to sort of cause, you know, to wreak havoc whenever there's a demonstration, to make it sound like, oh, look at those horrible people doing these horrible things. They deserve to be arrested and anally raped by cops. You know what I mean?
And anally raped. Jesus Christ.
Speaking on that, like, it's not always just common people as well who are provocateurs. It's actually the police as well.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yes, there are people who...
Because here in Canada, in Toronto, at the G20 in 2010, they had police and provocateurs that came out, and they were seen going behind the police lines. I'm not sure if it was at Toronto or in Quebec, but there was police provocateurs that were brought out, and then they were brought behind the police lines once they were finished smashing stuff.
Yeah.
So we know that within the police departments themselves, they do this.
Right.
To disrupt the whole thing, right? To shut it down, right?
Well, to make it look like you are bad guys, because we had it.
Well, they need to shut it down with a police state, and that's the way to do it. When things get out of control, right? That's when they can come in and shut it down.
Right, and people, normal people who are out demonstrating are not out of control, and that's the problem.
No.
They are well-mannered, and that's exactly why they have to inject this element of violence into it to make it look like the demonstrators are violent, but they're not. And that's why you have the actual demonstrators who have to come out and make statements to the press to say, look, we can see them coming. They're not us. They're not with us. They're separate factions that come out to cause the problem. You know?
Right. Ian, did you say that was 2010?
Yeah, it was 2010 at the G20.
I remember seeing some video and photos, and it might have been of that event or around that time, when they were absolutely caught literally with their pants down, in a sense, that what happened was they had the masked guys with the hoodies and the face masks.
The black bloc.
Right. And then what happened was the police would rush out and grab one of those guys and pull him back behind the police line, and then pretend to arrest them, literally pretend. I mean, they were arrested, but I'm sure they were, immediately released.
They were caught.
But there were photos and video of the people being arrested, and you could see the bottoms of their boots where they had this yellow oval. It was bright yellow. It was right in the middle of the sole of the boot. And then somebody who was making the video showed that the standard police boot actually comes from the same manufacturer. It has the same yellow oval logo. And they were like, look, these are freaking cops. There's no question about it. They didn't even bother to change their shoes.
I believe you're thinking of Press for Truth's video, right?
Maybe so. It's hard to remember now.
Into the Fire?
Maybe. Yeah. It's been a few years, but I remember seeing that. And, there's something.
Heavily documented that, yeah.
Right. So I'm screen sharing, right? You can see this. This is from the Arizona Capitol Times website. Arizona State Senate votes to seize assets of those who plan and participate in protests that turn violent.
Yeah.
Claiming people are being paid to riot, Republican state senators voted Wednesday to give police new powers to arrest anyone who was involved in a peaceful demonstration that may turn bad, even before anything actually happened.
Oh
SB
my gosh.
1142. Yeah. Here, I'll expand this out a little bit so you guys can see a little bit better. SB 1142 expands the state's racketeering laws now aimed at organized crime to also include rioting. And it redefines what constitutes rioting to include actions that result in damage to property of others. But the real heart of the legislation is what Democrats say is the guilt by association. And before I read any further, that basically means that they can arrest anybody at a protest.
Yeah.
They can send in their provocateurs.
Start a riot and then arrest everybody.
And then just start arresting people at random, all the while seizing people's assets who had nothing to do with being violent. And that reminds me of the, crap, I can't remember the term that they have for it, but when you're pulled over by a police officer these days, they now have laws that allow the officer to seize, like for instance, if you're carrying cash, if you have a large amount of cash on you, right? They can seize your cash, and there are tons of stories. I could pull up all kinds of articles. There are tons of stories of people who have been pulled over and they've been searched, and maybe there's stories of a kid who was sent off to college. His dad sent him off. He gave him $10,000 or $15,000 cash, right? Because he's got to buy all this stuff, right? And he gets pulled over. Maybe he's speeding, whatever. He gets pulled over, and then all that cash is seized. And then it costs, and literally they're not giving it back. You got to pay by a lawyer, and you spend thousands of dollars in the court system to try to get back. And by the time it's over, you spent more money on legal fees just to try to get back your $5,000 or $10,000, right?
What a racket!
It's absolutely
racket.
It's absolutely.
Over here, you can't even walk into a store and pay for you can't pay for cash anymore for something that costs over 3,000 euros. Anything over 3,000 euros has to be paid in some other way other than cash.
Wow.
Well, that's actually a subject that I've been meaning to talk about, and we've touched on it on other shows. We spoke with Oli Demigard a couple of weeks or months ago. He's in Spain, and he was talking about how they are going cashless, and referred us to a couple of articles that it used to be 2,500 euros that you could no longer do any transactions that exceeded 2,500 euros. And then they just very recently bumped that. They cut that in half, and now it's like 1,000 or 1,100 euros in Spain. No more transactions over 1,100 euros. In cash.
Can I just go back to the police thing? I had a couple of things I wanted to say about the police.
Sure.
Yeah, go for it.
When we were talking about the agent provocateur and these factions that come in and create havoc, a couple of years back we had a very highly mediatized demonstration on the Atlantic coast. They're trying to build They have been trying to build an airport on sort of wetlands for a number of years, and it just has never taken off, no pun intended, because the people they're trying to protect the land and the environment and stuff. So they've established this area that's called, regardless of what it's called in French, and their activists have sort of like been on this, they've been occupying the territory for quite a while. So a couple of, like 2 years ago, there was a big demonstration, and it came out that someone had been killed. One of the demonstrators was dead. And for 48 hours, they were blaming it on the guy himself, saying that he had a backpack and it was a suspicious, you know, had suspicious stuff, that the wound was in his back because the backpack contained something, you know, etc. Well, the whole time, it came out after 48 hours that the cops knew that they had killed this kid with a grenade. They threw a grenade, one of these crowd dispensing grenades, and the guy got it in the back, and it killed him outright. And the cops themselves dragged the kid out of the crowd. And so they knew he was dead, but they let it run in the press for 48 hours that it was they were trying to blame it on the kid himself, who was innocent and obviously dead. And it's just one instance of how, and this, like I said, we've got actually 2 cases of anal rape by these, what do you call the things that cops have? Like they whip you with them. The sticks.
That's a baton.
Baton?
Okay, well, these baton, we have 2.
Nightstick as well.
Yeah, well, they call them telescopic because I guess they can come out and become longer or whatever. So we have these 2 cases of these cops that have, I don't know how you can accidentally get your nightstick up somebody's butt. Okay, I mean, it can't be accidental.
No.
Right.
But they're trying still to exonerate the cops, right? And then they exonerate the cops who flung the grenade at the kid. Just recently, another one, and always in the context of some sort of, they're either being having their ID checked on the street or they're peacefully demonstrating. You know, there's never really any grave, heinous crime taking place, and the person ends up blinded because they throw these, I was going to say spitballs, but what are the plastic paintballs? You know those things?
Uh-huh.
Flash balls. They call them flash balls. So we've got a kid who lost an eye. We've got dead people from the cops. So the cops are really, you know, they've been militarized. They're out everywhere now. They're on high alert. And for the smallest thing, they will do these horrible acts, just as we've seen in, you know, all across, you know, America. We had cases of police brutality. But here, right here in France, it's the same thing. But the cops are not getting punished for it. This is the thing. They find a way to let them get off scot-free. And when you were talking about the guys who, you know, they have this special booth, but they're trying to pass themselves off for Joe Guy in the crowd, you know, here, there are plainclothes cops everywhere, right? And you don't notice them because they're dressed to look like they got their hoodies and they got their big, you know, sneakers. They are purposely there to blend in with the crowds. But they can spring on you at a moment's notice. You know what I mean? And when they do spring on you, and the security cameras are there, well, ironically enough, the cameras never seem to catch the people. They never seem to catch them in the act, which was just the case with these anal rape cases. They have the cameras, but nobody's looking at the footage. And the very first report that came out said that they did get the footage. In this case, it's called L'Affaire Théo. His name is like Theodore. Théo is his name. They said that when they looked at the footage, somehow the scene where the kid is actually getting, you know, stuck with the stick was miraculously cut out from the tape. And then that gets spun in the news as none of the security tapes showed, actually can confirm that that's what took place. But they're omitting the fact that somebody cut out that scene, right? So I'm one of those people that I like to get the news first. I listen to it like first thing in the morning. I'll listen to the news because that around 6 o'clock in the morning, you hear the stuff once and then it's gone for the rest of the day. And then it goes into spin mode. So you have to hear it first. You get the very first and the earliest reports. And then afterward, it's like the circus. Let's watch to see what they're going to do with it. And it gets spun into something completely different, as is the case with this poor kid. And then today, it comes out in the news that they're trying to pin it on his family, that his family is a family of scumbag financial fraud people, that they've run some sort of scam association and raked in money from the state and the whole bit. And of course, they're spinning the story to make it sound like, oh, this kid, he deserved to get, you know, anally raped with a nightstick kind of thing. It's disgusting. And then they interviewed one of the members of this family, and he's like, look, they came and they interviewed us and we gave them all the evidence they asked for, and there's no problem. But the press isn't telling you any of that. They're just slanting it towards, oh, this horrible family, they're just out for the money, right? This poor child in this kid in the hospital. He's just doing it for the money. Right. Sure.
I'm glad you brought that up. Now that's the Theo thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, because I noticed a commenter on your channel, and the promo that you put on your channel for the show. Somebody said something about the whole Theo thing was deliberate, and he put a link in there, and I watched that link, and it was, I mean, in fact, I should go ahead and pull that up in a minute. But before we do, I'm glad you brought that up because I really wanted to ask you about that. Well, I mean, you know, what the hell is going on in France, by the way? Because that whole protest thing, I mean, I'll show the video in a minute. There was this giant, and I mean gigantic, pile of the trash bins that these protesters were piling up. There was a whole line of police. Nobody was stopping these protesters. Where did the trash bins even come from? I can't imagine. I mean, I live in a neighborhood here, and we have trash bins that are of similar size and shape. I couldn't, if I wanted to, come up with that many trash bins. Do you know what I mean? It was like my first one of the questions, where the hell do all the trash bins come from? But anyway, on my screen here, what I'm showing you is an image of a woman arm who was, you mentioned earlier, those flash grenades that blew the kid's back, right? And killed him. This is the image of a woman's arm at the DAPL, the Dakota Access Pipeline, right? That big protest that they just shut down yesterday.
Right.
This is an image of the woman's arm who was, you know, almost completely blown off. It's severely damaged. You can see deep inside her arm from one of the flash grenades from the police. So
they call them non-lethal weapon.
Right, yeah, non-lethal. That's why people die from them, just like a taser. In fact, there's a headline in the news today that there was another taser death. And I didn't write it down, but I just saw the headline right before the show that this is going on in Atlanta right now.
We've had taser deaths here as well. Sarkozy was the one who brought the tasers over when he was interior minister. He had them brought over here. I'm very angry with these American imports that come over here. It's like, you know, France is supposed to be France, not a suburb of America, and all your nasty, you know, crap that's developed over there. We don't want them here. So yeah, we have tasers that are being misused, and people are dying from them here as well. And it's out of control.
Now, depolarized sheeple said in the comments here, says it's all social engineering. Doesn't matter whether it's real or fake. The desired outcome is the same. Fear, 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 and...
Yeah, that's exactly what Ole Demigard has said all along, is that it doesn't matter who's doing it. What's the end result is what he focuses on.
Well, in the sense that we need to do something about it, it matters who's doing it.
Now, Serebra.
Go ahead, Andy.
Serebra.
Yes?
Yeah, France basically was under a state of martial law. Is that correct?
Still is, my friend.
Still is? It still is in effect?
It will be in effect until this summer. Yeah, it's been extended a number of times.
Okay. So what are the conditions? You don't have a curfew, do you?
No, we don't have a curfew, but we are, well, the state of emergency allows the government to do extraordinary things that they wouldn't normally have the right to do, such as search your home, search your car, without any sort of reason to. You know, you don't have to be suspected of anything. So, you know, it's a loss of rights for us in that regard. And
so are they physically able to come and search your persons on the street? Like they can just stop you for no reason and search you?
Well, we are accustomed to being stopped to show ID. In Europe, generally, everyone has to walk around with an ID card because you're supposed to be able to prove that you are you at any moment in time. So that's
the same here in Canada. We have the same thing here.
To me, it's not an issue. But the problem with like the affaire Theo, part of the problem there is that the cops make their rounds and they always ask the ID of the same people that they see all the time. And it's usually race-based, and it degenerates into these violent situations. So, but getting back to the state of emergency, the searching and the searching and the invasion of privacy, that's one part of it. You can they can shut off roads, they can redirect traffic, they can tell you can't drive, they can close down concerts, shows, anything where crowds are going to be. They can stop. I'm hearing myself. There's feedback.
Yeah, we got an echo. So.
They can shut down shows. They can shut down demonstrations. They can. We had an example with the loi travail. Is everybody going to hear the feedback, or is it just us?
Yeah, we're hearing that echo.
I'm hearing some feedback as well.
Yeah, me too.
Everybody's got the show muted, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not hearing it now.
Okay, it just comes and goes. We have to deal with it. It's Google.
It's a free platform, so.
Yeah.
Really, we get what we pay for.
Go ahead. You're saying that.
We have a ridiculous example of the state of emergency hard at work when we had the demonstrations against the work code reform. Because when you're going to do a demonstration, you have to file it with the police station. You know, here's our route, here's the time we start, and here's when we will disband. That's all standard procedure. But they filed their route where they were going to march, and then the cops came and said, no, we'll let you have your demonstration, but here's the route. And they literally walked around a circle near Place de la Bastille. And it was like a 1 kilometer trot around a circle. There's like a little bit of a canal there, and they just walked around in a circle, and that was it. So that was all justified by the state of emergency. I don't know. And plus, they had police escorts all around them. It was very strange and bizarre. They also used it to their advantage to go and blow up a building in the north part of Paris during the Charlie Hebdo siege and all of that. And the people, they blew up a home, like an apartment building with people in it, and the people were dislodged and never even given a new home. And they blew up the building because they thought the terrorists might be in it. You see what I mean? And they could only justify it by having instituted the state of emergency. And this was back in 2015 when the antics started to kick in. And the poor people
so
were never...
Was this following the Bataclan? Am I correct?
No, you had... Well, we had the Charlie Hebdo was in January of 2015, and then the Bataclan was in November of 2015. So it was like months later. And
when did this state of emergency go in? Was it after the Bataclan?
Yeah, it was, because what they did after Charlie Hebdo was they rolled out the French Patriot Act after Charlie Hebdo. This is part of why they did that. They eased us into it. You know, Charlie Hebdo happened, and then it was the whole, we need to have, more control over information, and we need to do more surveillance. And they instituted this surveillance law, which everyone dubbed the French Patriot Act, because it was just like what you guys have, which they took over here. So it started that way. And then by the time the November attacks hit, they went into second gear with the whole state of emergency thing, which coincidentally was coinciding with the COP21, which was the big climate change summit.
Right.
Yeah,
So
because they needed to stifle everybody there too. Yeah.
So look at the calendar, guys. Look at the calendar. It was November 13, right? Friday the 13th was the quote-unquote Paris attacks. And the Change Conference was opening on the 28th of November. At that time, the state of emergency could only be enacted for, I think it was 3 days. It got extended to 10 days. And after the 10 days, that's when they decided to extend it to 3 months, because the 10 days brought it to, I forget what exactly the date was, but it was just a few days shy of the opening of the COP21. So then they had to, boot it up again so that they could shut down the people who wanted to demonstrate against the global warming hoax. And they put under house arrest, this is another extraordinary privilege that they have, they put under house arrest 50 people who were suspected of maybe they might do something, maybe say things that maybe aren't flattering about global warming, and they locked them up for like a month. Okay, under house.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and so when you look at the timing of it, it's really like no coincidence. All the pieces of the puzzle fit perfectly together. So they silenced dissent regarding the global warming conference. And by the way, I was driving someone who actually had to go to that conference, and our car got stopped on the way because they had all the cops in the road, with their big, AKs and crap hanging off their bodies. And they were checking cars and stuff because they were really trying to minimize people going into that zone. It was like a war zone. I don't know. So all I'm saying is the state of emergency, the extraordinary powers, they have been using them to the max, and
so it literally was your 9/11 then, the
totally.
The Charlie Hebdo attack. Yeah.
Totally.
Except it seems that unlike 9/11, where maybe some people died, as far as I can tell from Charlie Hebdo, we're dealing with an entirely fabricated story.
Yes.
I mean, from top to bottom.
Yes.
Well, I have to temper that a little bit. If you've watched my videos, I don't know if you saw any of the videos that involved this alleged girlfriend of one of the cartoonists.
Yes.
Does that ring a bell?
Right, yeah.
Yes.
It's been a while, but yeah.
Tried to escape to go back to Syria or whatever.
She was quite a character. And, she was all over the news claiming to be his girlfriend and all this stuff. And the family actually contacted him and said, you shut your mouth. She wasn't his girlfriend. And they were friends, but there was no romance. The guy ended up being gay. When it came out he was gay with another one of the cartoonists. At his funeral, it was announced that they were lovers. They'd been lovers for years and years. But she gave some very, very strange interviews that I mentioned in my videos that seemed to hint that something was going down and that she may have been on one side of the plot and the cartoonist may have been on another side of the plot. So I'm not sure that the most famous cartoonist didn't really die. As far as I'm concerned, it was a false flag, and some people did. This is my personal, after my analysis of it, my personal feeling is at least a couple of people did die. But we know that the cop on the sidewalk, that was totally fake. There's obviously fake mixed with real, but it's that girlfriend, that fake girlfriend's speeches that sent the sparks off for me saying, all right, there's more here than meets the eye, because this chick, she's got a background, she's worked for the big banks, she worked for Sarko. I mean, she's not a clean.
Are you talking about that brunette?
Yeah.
She worked for the Rothschilds.
Yeah.
She was linked with the Rothschilds. Yeah. And also the Rothschilds actually bought Charlie Hebdo, 3 or 4 months before that event.
Yeah, and they were like running out of money. They were running out of money, and the whole Charlie Hebdo attack brought them bajillions of. Okay, so they went from being to having to hire a financial manager to manage all of the money that was pouring in. So yes, but if you look at her interview, she did an interview where she said that she had spoken with him, meaning his name was Sharp, that she was basically in the interview, she says, I told him we're not safe here in France. We need to leave France, but he didn't want to go. That's what she says in the interview. But
right.
I told him we needed to leave France, but he didn't want to go. So that just sent off the gongs, like, when people, they disappear people or they give them a new identity and you're going to go move to Tel Aviv or wherever you're going to go, right? It's like maybe she was ready to do the deal with the devil and leave, and maybe he didn't, because he was a militant. I mean, if you go and look at the history, he was a militant with his drawings for eons. That was his life. So you can kind of understand him not wanting to cave. You know what I mean? Like his narrative could be a totally different one than hers.
Right.
And the fact that he did not want to go along with the plan makes me think that he could very well have ended up dead. At least him, because he was the one who founded it and he was the most popular, not the most popular, like.
Now, apparently during that as well, there was supposedly some reporter or something that died. It's like some other guy who was going to expose it died or something.
I wanted to jump. Go
Sorry,
ahead.
investigator. The lead investigator.
The investigator. That's who it was.
That's right.
Investigator, because
Now, is that true or is that fake news?
no. The guy is dead. He's dead. The investigator was found suicided in his office, but just hours before he was to give his report on his interview with the brunette, whose name is Jeannette Bourab is her name. So he had just interviewing her, and mind her now, she's the one who's been claiming to be his girlfriend, and it turns out that she isn't. So this guy had called his wife or something and said, "I'll be home. I just have to file my report." And then he decides to pull out his gun and kill himself? No.
Right.
Oh, no.
I just
wanted to throw this. I just wanted to throw this out there. You guys were going on for a few minutes. I didn't want to interrupt, but I wanted to remind everyone that during these events, whether they be hoaxes or false flags or whatever we may call them, that the people who are perpetrating these on the public are, in fact, and I've said this before and I will say it again, they are creepy cultist bastards. And they are, without a doubt, they are Luciferian, they are Satanists. I don't care what you believe, that's what they are. And they perform their, what we call lesser magic. And they also require their blood sacrifices in order to make their magic, come into manifestation. And even though, a lot of people scream, nobody died, nobody got hurt, and Ian and Amy can attest to this. I've said many times over that I think somebody always dies. Now, they may say 50 people died at the Bataclan and, maybe one person died. They may drag somebody off and murder them in some creepy cult ritual in order to create their black magic sigil thing, whatever they're doing, okay? But they require a blood sacrifice. And I've always contended that somebody always dies. I'll give you an example. If you look at the Boston Marathon bombing, clearly nobody died and nobody got hurt on the street during that event. However, one of the two Tsarnaev brothers did apparently get himself shot, stabbed, ran over, and mutilated, and ultimately dead, right? So
the friend of theirs who was being interviewed by the CIA or FBI, he got shot too, right? In the back of the head.
Well, that's what we heard.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. That's what we heard, and maybe so. But we saw the images of the older brother of the Tsarnaev, and they claim that the younger brother ran him over, which is kind of hard to do when we've already seen him in handcuffs in police custody. So how the hell did that happen?
Yeah, really.
Yeah. He's supposed to be hiding out in a boat, is where they supposedly apprehended him. I'd like to know how the hell he ran his older brother over when we have images of the older brother in handcuffs in custody.
Right.
And then somehow we see, morgue photographs of the guy literally torn apart and clearly dead. So it's my contention that somebody usually dies during these events. It's part of their black magic.
I will give you that they've selected somebody, whether they're in the story or not.
And it's usually the
somebody
patsy.
Probably, somebody, often the patsy.
Go back in history and look at all the other bullshit events. I mean, just go ahead and start with the Kennedy assassination. I mean, how many times does the patsy wind up dead? Every time, almost. Barring perhaps Sirhan, right? Barring perhaps maybe Dylan Roof, right?
Right. But there's probably somebody that, whether we know about them or not.
Right.
I will grant you that, because they are really, really, really sick people.
I mean, I can't prove it. It is my strong opinion that somebody usually dies.
Yep. I will give that very high probability.
So, Serebra, I want to do a screen share again, and I want to go back to this video What is this vengeance pour Theo? What is this? What is that? What's this about?
Vengeance pour Theo.
Well, vengeance, that's French for vengeance, yes?
Yeah, where was this taken from? I mean, what is...
This is the link that I found on your channel. The person who left the comment left that link, and this is the video in the link that I found. Now, I'll just...
Can you play the video? I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Sure. But basically, you put up the promo for the show tonight, and somebody in your comment section said something about the Theo thing being, completely deliberate. They left a link, and I watched the link, and this is that video of that link.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I saw the comment, but I didn't see the video. Because I know there's
you can see how many people in this audience have their hoodies on. I'm going to back this up just a little bit just to show a couple of different clips here. We've got all these different images of burning trash cans. It doesn't look like very many people around. And you can see in the distance, there's a giant pile of trash bins, like center screen, way off in the distance there. And considering the area with the fenced off on the left and the railing on the right side, I can't imagine where all those trash bins came from. That somebody pushed those things a long way to make that pile. So here we've got tons and tons of what look like professional reporters. They're all on the scene before the fire department is on the scene. I don't see, from this angle, I don't see any police officers. Nobody's pushing the crowds back. I see lots and lots of professional cameras. And then I don't see, now here you can see in the distance that same pile of the giant pile of bins in the background. And this looks like the same area that the fire department was putting out a moment ago. Now, somebody edited this. I don't know exactly. Clearly, there's more trash here than there was. I'll back up right there. Okay, so this is the same street. So it looks like the fire department showed up, put out this little fire, and then left.
Yeah, look at the guy on the left. Like they're going to let him get that close to a fire. You see the guy on the left?
Yes. And then it looks there. See? Now, this looks like to be the exact same area of the street because you can see the pile of bins in the background. It looks like the fire department left, and then the protest, this guy, protesters, provocateurs, showed up and created even more of a mess. In fact, if you look at the trash pile on the ground at the bottom center of the screen, it looks like it's partially burned. To the right, you can see what looks like a melted green lid to one of those trash bins. It looks like the fire department put the fire out, left, and then the provocateurs relit the fire is what it looks like.
Oh, right. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
So this is either a different part of the street, or maybe it's just looking backwards. Maybe that giant pile of bins is behind us from this angle. Hard to tell.
Yeah, well, let me just say a thing about the bins. It's totally normal to see a big pile of bins on the sidewalk, right? There's nothing strange about bins on the sidewalk. Tons of bins. There are days when you can put stuff out. It's like garbage day, right? You have garbage day and everybody bins up. So it's not bizarre to see a pile of bins. It's bizarre to see a pile of bins turned over, but at demonstrations, this is like one of the tactics that people will do. This is just something that they do. They turn over the bin. Now, whether this is real or staged, I'm seeing this video for the first time, so I really don't know. I have to look into it. I really can't comment on it because I haven't studied it, but it's not uncommon to see bins on a sidewalk all together like that. But it does look a little strange that they would let cameramen get so close to firemen. Supposedly.
Well, yeah, this is just the agent provocateurs. These guys are allowed to do this.
Yeah.
This is, say agent provocateur again for me, will you?
Agent provocateur.
Oh, God. Okay, anyway.
But see, and
these are just
covered. Do you see how their faces are covered as well? Did you see that?
Right. They're just the black bloc. It's just like what we have here in Canada. They're allowed to run around for blocks, destroying things. They even burnt a police car right in the middle of the road, and they're allowed to.
Yeah, no, we've had
set it on fire, right? So
This
is all staged.
There have
It's all.
Sorry.
No, probably a European version of George Soros over there funding this stuff. So.
In 2005, we had historic riots in France, and there was car burnings, there was trash burning, bin burnings. It was massive riot, again, as vengeance for wrongdoing. Cops had killed some kids in a ghetto situation. Right? So it's not uncommon that people burn cars. Seriously, they will. When they're pissed off, they will burn cars. And when they're pissed off, they will burn bins. It's not always fake. But this looks, I have to study this more. I haven't studied it. But there have been demonstrations in solidarity for this kid, that they're trying to say, you have to believe the kid. You cannot believe these cops who manipulate and lie.
So is Theo the kid in question?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And his case, this only happened like 2 weeks ago. And I'm telling you, the news is saying, the cops are saying, oh, his pants just fell off. Yeah. And that's why, that's how come my stick ended up his butt, because his pants.
Right. That happens accidentally all the time.
Well, that's in the record, and they want people to believe it. Well,
okay. I'll just throw in a quick dash of sarcasm here. If he dresses anything like the black people in America, then that's highly probable that his pants would fall right off.
No, I know you're talking about those jeans, but no. Well, then he's still got underwear on. So how does his underwear just slip off as well? I mean, he had a 10-centimeter wound, a rectal wound of 10 centimeters with a colostomy bag, if I'm not mistaken, and 60 days of sick leave. He only just got out of the hospital. I think he was in the hospital for like 2 weeks. Ever since he was, attacked, he'd been in the hospital. He just got out recently, like 2 days ago or something.
Wow.
But what I wanted to say is, because of that case, this other case is now in the news from, I think it's 2015. The same thing. A kid gets his ID checked, and it degenerates, and they have to throw him into the cop car. And he's like, I'd never seen a cop car where they flipped the back seat over, and he was going to be laid into the back of the cop car, apparently on his stomach. And somehow or other, to help him get in the car, they're going to prod him with the stupid stick. And somehow, how does it go through jeans? How does it go through underwear to get into your flesh? None of this makes sense to me. Just think about it.
Right, no, exactly.
I mean, there's really no reasonable way that it could accidentally happen.
Exactly, but what I'm saying is, the second case is only getting coverage now because of the problem with the Theo affair. Because otherwise, it would have just gone into the shadows. Because the cops don't do nice things, okay? But they try to snuff it out. They don't want it in the press. But because of the mediatization of this poor kid, Theo, everybody is on his side. Now this other kid came out of the woodwork and said, well, something very similar happened to me too. And it's in the press. And they're investigating this other case. And it's the same troop of cops. It's the same dirty bunch of cops that are involved in it too.
Basically, the same precinct of officers?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there's some kind of ritual sodomy going on here, or what?
There's a lot of racial tension. There's a lot of nastiness. There's a lot of, I don't know if you saw my video on this poor kid who got caught in the crossfire last fall during one of the demonstrations of I think it was the Loi Travail. This poor kid was not doing anything, nothing. And you've got the cops. Somebody caught it on camera. And these 3 cops surround this kid. I think he was like a high school kid. And they just lay into his face, right straight into the face, knock him flat out on the ground, and then they drag him back up and they hit him again. And
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
It was outrageously violent, and needlessly violent. You know, so it's like there's no justification for this behavior. These guys, but you know, I don't even think it's not necessarily even racism. It's this drive to have power over people. When you're wearing a uniform,
it's that thin blue line.
You've got power over others.
Yep.
It's this element of people that thrive on it, and they will use it to abuse. You know,
in fact, you know, when you stop and realize that the power over others is something that draws psychopaths more than anybody else in our society, higher probability that any one of those that are drawn to that kind of a position is a psychopath, which isn't who we need running around protecting us, I don't think.
No,
exactly. And go ahead, Serebra.
Sorry. I mean, I can get a little impassioned about these things, but
no, it's okay.
It's positions of power, be it, you know, not peacekeeping, whether it be police people, military people, political people, because they have the power over the people. They don't carry the guns and the mask.
It's all manner. That includes corporate and media power as well.
Exactly.
It's like George Carlin says, it's a big club and you're not in it.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Now, what I want to show here real quick, since we're on this video, as I'm still doing a screen share, I want to focus on these 3 or 4 people that are center screen. One guy is holding a canister, what looks like it could be a bear spray or mace, and they're all wearing helmets. Now, I want to roll the film here. I want you to focus. I want you to pay attention to these 3 or 4 individuals. The camera will pan to the right, and when it comes back around to the left, I want you to see that these people are going to find themselves behind the police line and integrated into the police. Now, none of these people look like police, unless you can tell me that these are clearly undercover police. None of these people look like they're part of the police. So they look like they're part of the protest. They act like they're part of the protest. I'm going to roll this video. Watch this. Now, to the left, you'll see the police line come up. Police line to the left. Now watch. The camera moves to the right, where all the action is, and then look what happens. Look at this. Look at this. Did you see that? Did you see that guy run behind the police right there? These are officer agent provocateur. Sorry, my French is probably atrocious.
Agent provocateur.
Yes, they are. They use the same tactics that they're doing right here in Canada as well. It's the same thing. It's almost watching the same thing over again.
See, look at this. Look at this. Pans to the right. You don't see what happens right away. And then look at this. Look. Where are the other guys? They're not being arrested. Look, they get behind the police.
He's got purple shoes on. He's got purple sneakers on.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, while we're talking about
really amazing.
You guys all heard about the supposed attack at the Louvre, right? At the museum.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It wasn't at the Louvre. That's all you heard. It was attack at the Louvre, attack at the Louvre. But no, it wasn't. It was in a shopping center, near the Louvre. But it's not the Louvre. It's a shopping center.
Oh, so they just shut down the Louvre for no apparent reason?
Yeah, they put people on lockdown in the Louvre. Yeah. No, for me, it's a complete staged event. I haven't even looked at it. I heard enough in the first reports that I heard to say, and plus I was near there at the time, and nobody stopped me. Nobody held up any, I wasn't affected by it in any way, shape, or form, and I was nearby. As soon as you see it being spun in the news as it happened, attack at the Louvre, and you know full well, because they were saying Carousel du Louvre, and that was the first thing I heard, Carousel du Louvre. So right away I thought, okay, Carousel du Louvre is not the Louvre. And then you see all the media saying, oh, it's at the Louvre, it's at the Louvre. I'm like, no, it's not. It's at the Carousel du Louvre. And why do you keep, aren't you making the distinction? Because it doesn't sound very good to say it was, on an escalator going down into an underground shopping mall, near the Louvre. Yeah. It just doesn't have the impact.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And plus, we're supposed to have all of this massive security all over the place. I can't walk into a shopping mall without having to submit to them looking into my bag. Okay? Sometimes I've even been asked to open my coat for these idiots before I can walk into a store. Okay?
Really?
God.
Seriously, the wall? Is just the wall?
Wait. So wait. Let me just finish, please. Given all of this heightened security, especially a shopping mall near the Louvre, I will give it that. It's near the Louvre, okay? Given all that security, a guy with supposedly 2 machetes, not 1, 2 machetes, just how do you... I mean, a machete is not like a pocket knife, right?
It's not easy to hide.
How the heck do you just allow a guy... And the story was that he attacked the soldiers. He attacked the soldiers that are standing guard at the shopping center, okay? So it's kind of like more justification. Oh, we need more security because I guess this emergency isn't quite enough because even our state of the emergency high alert cops are getting attacked by machete-wielding terrorists, right? It's still not enough. Do you see what I mean?
Solution, Hegelian dialectic. All over again.
Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez.
It's insane.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, hey, guys, we reached the top of the first hour.
Okay. Give me a minute, and I'll queue up a little.
I wanted to.
Go ahead, Ian.
I just wanted to play. I wanted to play Eisenhower's speech. Warning of the military-industrial complex. It's only a couple minutes long. Is that all right?
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. Let's take a couple minute break.
All right. I'm off.
Are you ready to go, Ian?
You want to mute your microphones, then it won't interfere with the.
Okay, no problem.
All right.
Go ahead.
So
we're gonna take a. How long is it, Ian?
2.5 minutes.
Okay, we're gonna take a 2.5 minute break, and we'll be back with Serebra Sana. Go ahead.
United States. Good evening, fellow Americans. We now stand 10 years past the midpoint of a century that has witnessed 4 major wars among great nations. Until the latest of our world conflicts, the United States had no armaments industry. American makers of plowshares could, with time and as required, make swords as well. But we can no longer risk emergency improvisation of national defense. To create a permanent armaments industry of vast proportions. Added to this, 3.5 million men and women are directly engaged in the defense establishment. Now, this conjunction of an immense military establishment and a large arms industry is new in the American experience. The total influence, economic, political, even spiritual, is felt in every city, every state house, every office of the federal government. Recognize the imperative need for this development. Yet we must not fail to comprehend its grave implications. Our toil, resources, and livelihood are all involved. So is the very structure of our society. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists. Let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes. We should take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizen can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals, so that security and liberty may prosper together.
All right. Hopefully you guys could hear that okay.
Yes, smart.
Yeah.
Smart man.
Yeah, sound came through just fine.
Yeah.
Good.
I didn't hear it. I was outside.
Oh. Well, Well, I'm sure you've heard it before.
You filthy, filthy smoker, you.
I know. There's no excuse for me whatsoever.
All right, let's change gears just slightly a little bit. Serebra Sana is with us tonight. It is Friday, February 24th, and we're happy once again to be back in action. And we will be joined tomorrow at 3 p.m. with Thomas Sheridan. And I expect that to be a very interesting show. We're going to talk about the human psyche. We're going to talk about psychopaths. We're going to probably wind up talking about pedophilia, the occult. By the way, that's something that I did not know that Serebra was not only interested in but knowledgeable in, was the esoteric and the occult aspects. She gave me a list when we were chatting in email of possible topics. And so a little bit later on, we're going to probe Serebra's brain as to what she has in mind and what she knows about the occult aspects of ancient Europe or at least medieval Europe. So Serebra, I wanted to ask you, you're a professional subtitler, is that correct?
Yes, I am.
So you do translations for a living, yes?
That's kind of a big stretch.
Is that basically what that means? I mean, subtitles, right? So you translate what exactly? Commercials, radio, TV into subtitles?
Films, videos, things like that.
Okay. All right.
I do adaptations. Yeah, when you subtitle a movie, you translate it, then you have to adapt the translation, and then you have to break it down to subtitles. And go ahead.
So far, we've identified that you speak fluent 4 different languages. Any more than that?
I can read the inscriptions on Roman monuments because I know Latin.
Oh, cool. Wow. So that's so impressive. I got to tell you, Serebra, it is your work on your channel is absolutely invaluable to the truth movement or community or alternative research community, whatever folks like to call it. Your work is absolutely invaluable. We need people like you to translate, articles and interviews, right, and news broadcasts. People like you in this community are absolutely invaluable. And I just have to thank you again for everything that you're doing for humanity and all of us out here. So thanks for that.
You're very welcome, and I appreciate your support.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say thank you very much. It's something that I encourage everyone, if you have any spare time, to try to learn a different language, simply because it allows you to get to the source. Because if you don't know what the Carrousel du Louvre is, you're just going to hear Louvre and that's enough. So you're all led. But even with some basic knowledge of another language, you can go and check yourself out for yourself. And that's what I do. And because I do speak these different languages, it allows me a much broader playing field in a way to get my information. And I just urge everyone to try to reach out and broaden your horizons a bit.
All right, so I'm sure that you are aware of the PK fiasco happening right now over the Melbourne car incident.
Yeah.
Okay, have you had any trouble in your own personal life as a result of your activities online?
Well, yeah, I have had some problems. I have.
Okay. You don't have to share them if you don't want to. It sounded like you weren't thrilled about that question.
No, well, I mean, it's a dangerous world we live in, and we make it a little more dangerous by doing what we do, but it's a choice. But we just have to be smart. And this is what I tell everyone, that, we can't succumb to the fear, and we can't succumb to the pressure, and we certainly don't want to fall prey to these idiots, but we have to be smart about it, and we can't just back away, tail between our legs and say, okay, they got me. No, we just have to be smart about what we do. And we have to know our rights. We have to know how to protect ourselves, and we have to know the technology, because, these troll accounts and these shills and all this stuff and the YouTube, like we were saying at the outset, you can buy your video, your likes and your thumbs up and all this.
Yeah.
Total bullshit. artificial intelligence. There's shit going on behind the scenes that 99.9% of people have no clue about. And me, in my position, unfortunately, I am privy to lots of stuff that people don't know. And it's
Yeah, I mean, someone like you can turn on Italian TV and understand everything that's being said, and you can turn on French TV and American TV. You're in kind of in a unique position. I mean, there's not a lot of people running around that can speak 4 or 5 languages.
Yeah, but it's not even just the mainstream. I mean, I do have contacts in high places and former high-placed contacts that are no longer in their high places for many reasons. So it's like I do have access to information that most people don't, and I have to just be very careful about how I make known what I know, because I can't afford to have something like what happened to PK happen to me, and I have had stuff happen to me that hasn't been pleasant. So I have to be very careful. And it's not a comfortable position that I'm in, or that anybody who does this kind of work is in.
Well, I really appreciate your passion for what you're doing. I remember you did a video a while back, several months ago, and I can't for the life of me remember specifically which one of the Paris events that happened preceding the video that you made, but I know that you like to tango. You like to do the tango dancing, you go to these events and dance. And I remember you put up a video about how irritated you were having to literally tango around soldiers carrying their assault rifles.
Oh, I was so pissed. That was last summer. I was livid. Livid. In fact, that was the last tango. I went off to the side and I stood there and I just was griping to whoever would listen to me, and I just ended up going home after that. Yeah, because if you saw the video, we were down by, not at the foot of the Eiffel Tower, across the way from the Eiffel Tower. There's a place called Place du Trocadéro, and it's a very big open square, and it has big stairways on both sides. And the cops, while we were dancing, because when you dance, you go around counterclockwise on the dance floor, right? So you've got a long rectangle, and everyone is sort of moving, let's say, away from you to the left and going around, right? So at one point, I saw these 2 massively armed soldiers coming down the stairs towards the dance floor. And if they were to turn to their right, they would be walking towards the Eiffel Tower. and not onto the dance floor. So as my partner and I are tangoing down the dance floor, we're getting closer to them, and I noticed that they're not turning right. They're coming onto the dance floor, and I'm like, I can't believe this. So at one point, had I let go of my partner and just let my left arm, if I just had extended my left arm, I would have been touching I would have whacked one of the soldiers. That's how close I was to them. But they had these massive, I call them AK-47s. I don't know what they are. They're assault rifles. They're massive assault rifles. So the simple fact that I was inches from an assault rifle, while you've got this romantic music playing, it's a Paris summer night, and you've got this massive, thing next to me that can kill humans, I was just like out of my mind. And yes, so they paraded through the dance floor. And so I just whispered into my partner's ear. I said, well, it's a well-known fact that tango dancers are the worst type of terrorists around. Yes. So I came home and I made that movie, and I was very upset about it.
Okay. So you also very recently put up a video highlighting the fact that the movie or documentary known as Vaxxed had just recently been aired in Paris. How did that go?
Yeah, I was there. It was interesting because they had announced the screening, and then it got canceled because they got pressure put on them. And at the last minute, they said, "Oh, well, we found a new theater, but sign up and we'll get you the address 2 hours before the show." And that's what we did. So people got their tickets. It was like $5 to get your ticket, and then 2 hours later, I got the email saying, "Here's the address of the cinema." It was just right off the Champs-Élysées, in a beautiful little theater. If you saw the video, it was a lovely theater, and the room was filled. So there were a lot of people that came out. Unfortunately, vaccine-damaged families had come out because there was Q&A after the screening, obviously, with Andrew Wakefield, who was there.
Right.
And, you know, it's heart-wrenching. It's heart-wrenching for me to hear these people with their stories. And as much as we can say false flags are bad, and which they obviously are, I really, really can't think of anything that could top consciously poisoning a newborn baby with toxins, you know, and permanently ruining their lives and the lives of their parents and the lives of their brothers and sisters and grandparents and aunts and uncles and friends. It's just,
I am so with you.
You know, I just can't think of anything. And, you know, when you say, have I been in difficult situations? I took a risk last week after I saw that movie in a professional environment. I took the risk of telling one of my clients, who is just thrilled that he wants to have kids. He wants to have kids. He's married. He's a young guy. And I just couldn't let him, I couldn't not share this video with him. So even though it was in a professional, you know, I sort of broke character, shall we say, that I allowed my activist side to sort of come out, and I discreetly suggested he watch Vaxxed, and I gave him a link to see it and everything. And I actually saw the guy today, and he was like, you know, I almost cried watching that movie. And I'm like, really? And he's like, it's just so upsetting. Now, this is a young French guy. He's a smart, bright guy, and that's why I felt I could take the risk in showing this information to him, and he took it very well. But he, you know, I opened his eyes. He had no idea about it. So it's the kind of thing where we need to help people learn about these things. That's our main role. Whether you have a YouTube channel or not, people out there listening to this video, if you're awake, it's your duty to help others come around to the hard reality of things. You know, because if you don't, you're just complicit with the sickness, you know, and letting these things happen. So I personally didn't want this kid, he's 37, 38, I guess. I didn't want him to just blindly go starting a family, have his kid vaccinated, and without knowing the risks. And he thanked me, you know, for showing him the video. So people here tend to be open and a little skeptical, right? But you can only be, if you don't have access to the information, this is the problem. We live in YouTube, right? We have got the radar on 24/7. We've got the eyes and ears open for everything. But most people are just struggling to keep a roof over their head, food on the table, and you know, just hope they don't get fired in the next fake layoff, right? So they can outsource to India again. So most people don't have the actual availability to even have the brain space to think that this could even be possible. So we're up against a real sort of iceberg situation that you can't just scream, oh, you know, it's a conspiracy, and expect people to think, you know, take you seriously. You have to ease them into it in a way that they can swallow it by bits, because it's just so much to handle.
Exactly. Oh, exactly. Absolutely. And in fact, I have a personal experience that happened to me just a few weeks ago. I travel out of state as a remodeling contractor, and I was doing a job, and I was, you know, when I get done with my work, I was down in Louisiana, and I live in Atlanta, so it was a 10-hour drive. I get done with my work, and I go have dinner and get a hotel. While I'm having dinner, I sit at the bar and have a few glasses of wine and get a good meal. And I usually chat it up with whoever will have me. And I found myself sitting next to a woman who had a stack of books next to her, and she was chatting with some people. And I sort of interrupted them a little bit, but I got into the conversation, and I found out that she was studying, that her books, she was studying trauma. And I immediately thought of mental trauma, not physical trauma. And I accidentally took the conversation in the wrong direction, and then I realized that she was talking about physical trauma. And the other people she was chatting with, we got under the conversation of one of the hoaxed events, you know, some of these events that we all talk about here on YouTube. And I mentioned, you know, I said, don't believe everything you hear. It's more than likely was fake. It was a drill. And the girl next to me with the trauma books, she said that they're full of crisis actors. And I nearly fell out of my freaking chair.
Nice.
Awesome.
And you could,
awesome.
Now, okay, oh, that's awesome, except the part where I screwed up. Okay, and I'm going to own this now. Okay, I totally screwed up. I was in such a state of shock because this girl was talking about her boyfriend. Now, you realize that usually people in the same general field of employment will often date each other. So doctors and nurses will date each other. This girl was a trauma nurse, and she was, had her books, and she was studying trauma. And her boyfriend was either a doctor or another male nurse in the same field. And she said, and this blew my brains out. And now I already said I nearly fell out of my chair when she threw out the word crisis actors. Now, she said that her brother actually, or excuse me, her boyfriend took part in these drills. He was a crisis actor. Now, at that moment, I had already had a few glasses of wine, and my inhibitions were already out the window. And you could see it on my face. I was literally in complete shock. And then at that point, I looked just like one of the crazy conspiracy people that everyone's supposed to be afraid of. And I mean, I'm not kidding. My face was absolute. It was almost as if someone had, I don't want to get graphic, but I mean, just imagine something horrible happening right in front of you, the look on your face, the bright saucer eyeballs. And I was in absolute shock. And you could see it on my face. And I was in such shock that she picked up on that right away. And I could tell by the look on her face. And all of a sudden, she was very, very put off by me and didn't want to talk to me anymore because I was displaying such emotion, and I wasn't even really realizing it after, I mean, I've never in my life encountered anything like that. And I just wanted so badly to speak to her, put her on camera, get anything I could. And I was so adamant and so emphatic without checking my own emotions that I literally came off as one of those wild, crazy conspiracy people, and I blew it. I completely blew it.
Well,
you asked her if you could record her, right?
Yeah, I did. I asked her immediately, do you mind? Can we go outside? Can I interview you? And she was like, and I was acting and looking like a wild man, and my eyeballs were like, what? And my face was like, and she picked up on that. And I'm a stranger. She didn't know me. She's out of town. I'm out of town. And all of a sudden, this creepy, wild, crazy guy is just like, holy shit. And it was totally put off. And I don't blame her. I don't blame her at all. And it was my fault. It was a shock. I mean, I was in absolute shock.
Well, do you know, Aaron, if she, when she says her boyfriend was a crisis actor, do you know if she was referring to like, a DHS event or something like that? Do you know where she got the term crisis actor from? Was she, wait, let me rephrase. Was she using crisis actor the way we use crisis actors?
No.
Yeah.
Because as a trauma nurse, they do participate in lots and lots of drills, just like the military and paramedics will. They have their trauma protocols. And they're supposed to run out and assign, color-coded badges to people that are more injured and less injured and who needs attention first. And that's part of the drills that they engage in all the time. It's standard procedure for them. They don't think anything of it.
Have you seen or have any of the viewers seen or heard of I call it the SHEEP manual. It's actually HSEEP manual. Has anyone seen that?
No.
You know, to?
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It's kind of a goofy looking word. HSEEP is just like sheep, right? Because I'm partially dyslexic, so I read sheep. No, it's the manual that outlines how these drills go down. And it's the famous document where they say, you will be given a bottle of water, right? When we always see crisis actors with their water. And
must check in and so on.
Yeah, but one of the lines is, no matter what happens, it says, don't stop acting. It says, no matter what, don't stop acting. And
really?
Yeah, yeah. I could get it up on the screen if you want to see it. Do you want to see it?
Yeah. While you're pulling that up, I want to tell you, since you're the info sponge, if you're not aware, I want to throw this out there for your own benefit and for the benefit of anyone listening. I've said this before, and some people who listen to us have heard me say this. OPMS, Online Persona Management,
Oh yeah,
Oh, you're familiar?
of course.
Oh, okay. Okay. So for those who are listening who are not aware, it's a provision in the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act. It allows the military, the U.S. military, by the way, to create up to 10 sock puppet accounts, online sock puppet accounts, for the purpose of invading social media. Now, 10 sock puppet accounts per U.S. military personnel. Okay. So it allows.
Are you sure it's 10? I've seen 20 in some cases.
Oh, okay. Well, we looked it up on one of our previous shows. It was brought to my attention because I was listening to Jimmy Church Fade to Black radio, and I was listening to, I think it was John Rappaport, and they were talking about that. And I looked it up, and we looked it up on the show, and it's 10, and in some cases it may be more in other countries or other agencies, but I just want to remind everyone that we are only talking about the U.S. military. Now, the United States government has 17 additional intelligence agencies, right? We've got the NSA, we've got the FBI, we've got the CIA, the DHS, plus a whole bunch that people never heard of, right? Military intelligence and lots of other agencies. So this is just for the U.S. military. It allows them to create 10 accounts per U.S. military personnel. And according to the last count, it's 1.4 million U.S. military personnel. So that's a potential 10.4 million fake accounts. And like I said, that does not include the other agencies in our country or around the world or corporate interests. So the potential is tens of millions of fake accounts. That's bloggers, vloggers, YouTubers, anybody you can think of, Facebookers, Twitter accounts, you name it. The potential is enormous.
If we could do, I might do a screen share just really quick. Can I just show you something?
Yeah, please, go ahead.
Let me just show you this.
I was just trying to ramble on while you were getting ready there, so go ahead.
No, that's okay. No, you're not rambling. Well, I was listening. I was like, well, let me show you this. I'll show you the manual in a sec, but let me show you this. Can you see my?
Yes, we can see you. Harvard University Law School, Public Law and Legal Theory Research Paper Series, University of Chicago Law School, Public Law and Legal Theory Research, Conspiracy Theories.
This is the
Sunstein.
Cass Sunstein, look at that.
Biggest controlled opposition shell around.
All right, now what's fascinating about this, people? This is the draft. This is the preliminary. January 2008. Okay. So everybody who's going to write, everyone who knows, when you write a paper and you do a preliminary draft in January of 2008, you've been working on it for a while, right? You didn't start on the 14th of January.
That's right. Right. It's not a day old. So yeah.
It's at least a few months old. So we're into 2007 at this point, right? If we're gonna be generous, maybe they started in 2006. Who knows? Okay. Sure. Yeah, Keep in mind, people think that YouTube has been around like forever. No, YouTube only started coming into its own in 2006, right?
No, actually, I think it's a little older than that, but go ahead.
No, it is older. Physically, it's older, but it only started to catch on.
Sure.
Late 2005, beginning of 2006, it started to take off, is what I'm saying, right? So this is conspiracy theories. This is the blueprint for the shills and the trolling, because they actually say, if I just search in, right, cognitive infiltration of extremist groups, okay? Here we go again. But the thing is, they mention, at one point, they mention in the real world or online.
Yep.
Just get to that where you can see it. They literally say they're going, here we go. There is a similar trade-off, another dimension, whether the infiltration should occur in the real world through physical penetration of conspiracist groups by undercover agents. Wait, that's not the line I want. There's a better line. They literally say, they talk about the agents or, wait a minute. All right, this is the preliminary draft. Then we have the other one. Let me get the other one. Here we go. Do you see? Can you see this one on the screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, I made it so big.
I'm still seeing the original.
Still seeing the original.
abstract.
Okay, hang on. Let me go back. How do I get back? You're seeing this one, right?
Yeah, you're still sharing, so anything you do is we see.
But you didn't see the other. Hang on. You can't. What do you?
Screen sharing.
Right now, you're not screen sharing.
I'm not screen sharing. I didn't hit the button though.
Wow, really?
Oh, let me try again. Screen share. Let's
take your time. We got another hour and a half, so take your time.
Okay, do you see it now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Listen to this. Second, we suggest a distinctive tactic. We suggest a distinctive tactic for breaking up the hardcore of extremists who supply conspiracy theories, cognitive infiltration of extremist groups whereby government agents or their allies, acting either virtually, which are those sock puppets that Aaron was just mentioning, acting either virtually or in real space and either openly or anonymously, will undermine the crippled epistemology of believers by planting doubts about the theories and stylized facts. Stylized facts. That means not fact, it's stylized. That circulate. Yeah, which circulate within such groups, thereby introducing beneficial cognitive diversity.
Right? It's so beneficial to us.
Beneficial cognitive diversity. It's basically they inject their own bullshit into the mix. That's all it is.
No, it's exactly. And it's only benefit. Who's it benefiting? That's coded language. Beneficial to who?
To them. No. It's not even coded. Of course it's beneficial because
to the person reading this, right? Because if you were reading this, if you were one of the people hired to be, an agent provocateur, if you were hired to be, one of these agents, if you were a military person and you were recruited to be one of those people who create all these online sock puppet accounts, you're reading this. Look, let's be honest. Some people who engage in this activity believe they're doing the greater good. They believe that they are doing the good for the greater part of the country.
But look at this. And in all cases, the government must necessarily decide whether to deny, confirm, or ignore conspiracy theories that come to the attention of officials.
Now, stop right there. Confirm, deny, or confirm. This is that word, confirm. That is a crucial element, in my opinion. Confirm, because in the sense that, let's say, like the Alex Joneses of the world, right? We have these people who come out and they give you tons of truth and they confirm your conspiracy theories. They confirm the government is corrupt. They confirm that bullshit is going on. And then they'll steer you in the wrong direction. I think having that word confirm in that sentence to me is a very crucial element.
Can I show you something else that blows
my please.
Let me close this. All right,
yeah, go ahead.
All right. Am I screen sharing now? No. Okay. Let me just show you something, because if I throw out this term, tell me if you've ever heard this before. Message force multipliers.
Oh, yeah.
Who they are?
Yeah, I've heard that term. Absolutely.
Okay. So do you know where they were, what that refers to?
Message force multipliers?
Yeah. Do you know who they are or were?
They specifically? No. I mean, I understand the concept, but no, go ahead. You just go ahead and tell us.
This is extremely specific. This is something that, believe it or not, the New York Times broke. They ran 2 massive exposés in 2008, in April, and then a follow-up in May. And they exposed, remember after 9/11, what did we see? We saw on we had the retired generals. Remember the parade of the retired generals? This is why we need to go into the retired generals. Well, those retired generals were actually behind the scenes part of Donald Rumsfeld's message force multipliers. They were essentially on the payroll of the Pentagon. And let me just go back to screen share here.
So they roll out these official elements, these people in official capacities, to reiterate the message as a force multiplier.
No. No, they rolled out these allegedly independent, retired, no link to the military. I'm just a retired general. I'm just
Right.
giving my opinion. No, this is why it's nefarious, because they were paraded about as being independent, but they were taking their marching orders and their messages from the Pentagon. So can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so behind TV analysts, Pentagon's hidden hand. Okay, so this was the first one that came out in 2008. And it basically, it just explains that these people were not independent. Yes, they were retired, but they would go to these meetings and get their talking points.
Sure.
And they were paraded in the media to bolster support for the war in Iraq. They knew. Oh, feedback again.
Yeah, terrible feedback.
They knew the American people was not or were not that Americans didn't want to go to war. They knew that. So this is why they cranked up they paraded out these people supposedly as independent analysts, but they weren't independent. All right. So that was the first article. Let me close that. And then there was a follow-up article. Here's the follow-up article. Can you see that? No, you're not seeing it probably. Are you seeing the follow-up article?
Oh, yeah, no.
Nope.
You're not sharing.
Okay. I guess when you close the document, it closes the sharing. Please bear with me.
No, shouldn't.
Okay, hang on. This one. Okay, 2 inquiries, because then it became they did an investigation. Right now, this is the second article from May of 2008. 2 inquiries set on Pentagon publicity effort. Okay. So this is, the GAO is the Government Accountability Office, right here.
Sure.
Right. So they were taxed with looking into this situation because it was, I can't say unprecedented, but it was disturbing. Okay. It is a military-industrial media complex. Okay, just a random quote that I just saw. So anyway, so this was a big thing. And then in 2011, let me just close this, the verdict came out. Let me find the verdict. The verdict came out and they said, oh, well, we've done our investigation. And you know what? There was no wrongdoing. Everything was fine.
Of course.
We investigated ourselves and found no wrongdoing.
Exactly. We investigated ourselves and we found
That's what happens here. That's what happens here in Canada when there's the RCMP does that. They investigate themselves.
Well, that's
And we had a small mini false flag here. It didn't pan out. There was a couple of patsies. Okay, this young couple. They were on drugs. They were poor. They lived over in Surrey, near Vancouver, and the RCMP paid them, coached them, and coerced them to go and plant a pressure cooker bomb on the Parliament grass on Canada Day, on a holiday when the whole Parliament grass is full of people. And it was found out through the court proceedings that it was actually the RCMP, which is the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, if anyone doesn't know, that set these two up to do this attack. Yeah. Now, do you think anything's happened to any of the policemen that did this? No, of course not.
Of course not.
But the two got off on all the charges, terrorism charges.
Of course. Let me show you the follow-up. Here we go. Oh, no, not that. Let me show you screen share. Come on. This is another thing. Let me gripe. May I gripe for 20 seconds? I absolutely loathe this way of doing the user interfaces where they hide the buttons on you, right? You have to know to roll your mouse over some zone, and then your buttons become. And this Hangout doesn't do that thing. Hang on now. Why can't I find the window? I can't find the window. Hang on, just bear with me for 1 second, please. All right, let me just grab this link, and I'll put it in here. Just hold on 1 second.
So it's the chat here is talking about something completely different than what we are talking about.
Oh yeah, no kidding. And look,
flat Earth stuff here.
and look who else just showed up. Our other resident troll.
I saw that.
Sorry, this is taking a little while.
No,
Who's the other one?
I got it.
Oh, Philip.
All right.
Philip Franklin. Hi,
Yeah.
Philip Franklin.
Screen share.
Philip, go over to Michael Resnicki's channel. I'm sure you guys will get along great.
He's probably already put up a video already.
Michael Resnicki will show you exactly how to create 8 sock puppet accounts and pretend like you're not yourself.
Guys, I'm having trouble in the window that I want to screen share. All right. Can you see? What do you see now?
There you go. You got it now.
Do you see the white page?
Just full screen it. Yeah.
Pentagon find. Yep. Gotcha.
All right. This is actually, if you can see the address up here. This is an
Over a bit. You'll have to slide it over. We're only catching the right side of it.
Actually, I can see the whole thing there.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. Okay, gotcha. Got it.
All right, well, okay, basically this is, I saved the web page as much as I could just to get the guts. This is, look, here's the headline. Pentagon finds no fault in ties to TV analysts. Surprise, surprise. So this is December 2011, and ironically enough, this is the same guy, David Barstow, who did those 2 previous articles from 2008. A Pentagon public relations program. Let me just read this. A Pentagon public relations program that sought to transform high-profile military analysts into quote-unquote surrogates and quote-unquote message force multipliers for the Bush administration complied with Defense Department regulations and directives. The Pentagon's Inspector General has concluded after a 2-year investigation. Okay. The inquiry was prompted by articles published in the New York Times in 2008 that described how the Pentagon, in the years after the September 11 attacks, cultivated close ties with retired officers who worked as military analysts for television and radio networks. Okay? And it just goes on and on and on. And then at the very end, it says, the report, however, because it says, given the conflicting accounts, because there were some, I don't want to read the whole article, but it says, listen to this. Given the conflicting accounts, the Inspector General's office scrutinized some 25,000 pages of documents related to the program. But, except for one, quote, unsigned, undated draft memorandum, investigators could not find any documents that describe the strategy or objective of the program. Okay, but they found one. What is it, the quantity that you need? If you have even one paper that says, hey guys, we're going to do this, we're going to screw over. No, it's only one piece of paper and it's not even signed. We'll just get rid of that, okay? So don't they have like handwriting and analysts? They couldn't do anything with that one document that they just chose to put aside, right? So they found no evidence of any sort of tampering. And then they said that there was no financial gain for most of them, almost all of, where is it? Almost all of them. Let me just find it said almost all. Almost all said no if they had gained, if there was any sort of benefit that they reaped from it. And almost all said no. Well, what about the ones that said yes?
I was just sitting there thinking, what do you mean almost all? That means some did.
Well, what it means is they asked 3 people and 2 of them said no.
Right. The report found
out of 100 that, or 1,000 that may have participated, or 10,000, who knows? They asked 3 and 2 said no.
It's just it's ludicrous the way the thing is even worded,
Yes.
and nobody's even going to question it. So listen, the report found that at least 43 of the military analysts were affiliated with defense contractors. The Inspector General's office said it asked 35 of these 43 analysts whether their participation in the program benefited their business. almost all known. Based on these answers, the report said the investigators were unable to identify any analysts who, quote unquote, profited financially from their participation in the program. Right.
Well, that's actually kind of irrelevant, because when you're in the club, you're going to do favors for the club. You don't have to benefit financially. You're in the club. When they say we need you to do this, you snap too.
Right, but this is what they've spun it. They've spun it in that way.
So they make it sound like, hey, no, there's nothing going on. We're not benefiting.
Right, nobody got rich from it, because that's the only thing you can only connect with people when you talk about money. Everyone wants to be rich, right? You have to have a big car. You have to have a car garage, right? I mean, it's
that's right.
So the conclusion is, the report, however, said that these analysts may have gained, quote unquote, many other tangible and intangible benefits from their special access.
No kidding.
Said they believe their participation gave them better access to top Defense Department officials, for example. The report said that a lack of clear internal operating procedures may have contributed to the perception that participation by military analysts with ties to contractors provided a financial benefit. End of article. As if the financial benefit was the only thing that mattered. How about you're out lying to the American people? And you're lying that you're supposedly independent and retired when you're attending these secret meetings with the Secretary of Defense and getting your talking points. At one point, they said that some of the analysts actually would request the talking points.
And what about financial benefits that come at a later date as a result of their participation?
Yeah, but what about, you can have access to the villa in the Caymans? What if they mentioned intangible benefits at the bottom here, right?
Or a job that they may acquire later on.
Of course. I mean, it's insane. But I just wanted to show you how, after some investigation, quote unquote investigation, as we say in French, it's the wolf is guarding the hen house. It's like, it's ridiculous. All right. So I can close. Oh, I don't want to close that. All right. So I wanted to show you that. And then I was going to show you the sheep manual.
Yeah, do that.
I have that open. We can close that. Are you still seeing my screen?
Yep.
Okay, see this?
Got you.
Let me go.
Yep. Excellent. Nice and large. I can read that.
There it is.
Security Exercise and Evaluation Program. Look, does anyone else see sheep?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
It's a program. I think it's just bad.
Oh dear.
Hey, I'm having some wine, so maybe the wine's going to be top. All right, so here we have the sheep fundamentals, right? So this is the document. It's 71 pages long, and let me just shrink it down a little bit. Right, you've got this is the blueprint for how they carry out their drills, right?
That's right.
So it's all in here, and it explains the exercise cycle, exercise methodology. They've got their scripts.
Does it even go through the lanyard colors in there as well? Does it do that?
No, that's the FEMA. Oh, does it?
Well, I have several of these documents. This is the first one that I've opened, right? This is the first one that I've opened. This is
because they all seem to have their own color coding for their role in the drill.
Yeah, well, just do a search for color and see if it comes up. All right.
And certain people have certain colors of shirts on, things like that as well.
Totally. Let me just see. Can you see? Hang on a sec. Are you still seeing my screen? Do you see?
Yes, ma'am. We got you.
Right. This is the generic document that they have to fill out when they want to do an exercise. All right. Let me close that. That's not what I'm looking for. Let me stop screen sharing for a second and go find planning and operation. This is more like this is more of an administrative document, exercise objective. But I do have the document where they explain, like the famous quote, everyone will get the water bottles, do not stop acting.
Right. These are all the things that we saw firsthand at the Sandy Hook.
from the FEMA capstone documents. Is that what
Right.
that's what you're looking for or looking at? That's where they talk about water bottles, refreshments, restrooms will be made available.
Yeah, and that they share
Same
with, I mean,
thing.
a few key buzzwords. They have privileged media partners. They were privileged media partners
Yeah.
who no, all right, it's not in this document. All right, let me close this document.
Is Anderson Cooper on that list?
Usually the ones that are on scene at the
Picture of
events, like let's say Richard Gutchar was his name.
Richard Gutjahr, yeah.
Gutchar, yeah, and he would be an example of that.
Well, no, privileged media are also like your local news. Let me close some of these documents here.
But they would have to be in on it, right? Because that's the only way they could get up close to get their shots and their camera and their film.
That is exactly why they are called privileged media partners.
That's
They
right.
are in on it. They know it's a drill.
That's
right?
right.
They know it's a drill, and they participate in it.
Yep.
Hold on one sec. I've got tons of documents, and I just didn't open. I didn't open everything while I was preparing. Are you guys familiar with Prism? Just while we're waiting.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, I've heard of it. I can't say off the top of my head what it is, but I have heard of Prism, so slightly familiar. Yes.
We need to talk about Prism. I opened up my Prism document. I need to show you that.
Do it, girl. Do it. There, nothing is off the table here. Do it.
I hope we have a big table tonight. Hang on, I'm just opening what I hope is the famous document. Here we go.
We got a whole other hour, so there's no pressure. Take your time. Just do what you got to do, and whatever you want to share is good to go.
I got it. Now I got to get back to you guys so I can screen share.
Ian, check the comment I just left you in the private chat.
For me?
No, Ian.
Oh, sorry. All right, screen share, and I want to screen share. See what? Oh, here we go. I got it. Okay, this is the template for an exercise. Okay, and this is the sheep. This is for the sheep again. Okay. But exercise players, exercise safety, player briefing, hot wash. They run you through some sort of shower or something after the exercise. And it just, look, this is where the color-coded badges. Actors will wear color badges and symptomology tags to identify their systems to players. Exercise director, he's got his colored hat, and you insert the color, like whatever color.
Oh, really? Oh, so their hats, their colored hats are part of the color-coded. Oh, okay, that's interesting. So now that when we see these events happening, okay, so now we're going to have to start paying attention to what color hats people are wearing on every new event from now on. Okay.
So you have exercise director, you have the exercise team, you have controllers, evaluators, support staff, players, observers, media, and actors. Okay. What will happen? A simulated emergency will initiate exercise play. The actor controller, who's like the guy who's going to tell the actors where to go, otherwise known as a director in the movies or theater, right? The actor controller will instruct you to react. Exercise players will arrive on the scene and begin to assess the situation. You may not see exercise players immediately. Exercise play may evolve slowly because players will need to assess the situation before acting. Okay? What will happen? Actors who are non-ambulatory, which means they can't walk, may be there a while. There will be no invasive treatments, no medicines or needles. Here we go. Here we go. See, I'm not a liar. Continue to display your quote-unquote symptoms throughout the exercise. Do not stop acting. Water will be available during the exercise. Please stay hydrated. Follow the instructions of the actor controller. Do not stop acting.
Awesome.
Right? Follow the instructions of the decontamination team. Do not take personal items and mobile phones and electronics through the decontamination zone. During decontamination, you will be hosed off with water. And after decontamination, you will be triaged, prioritized. Anyway, so this is where, this is what they do. Some actors may be transported to staging areas or pre-positioned.
Right,
before the exercise starts. Actors transported to hospitals will be transported back to the exercise site.
Right. The great, magnificent.
Can anyone say Orlando?
Right.
Yeah, and it brings to mind that
really.
that airplane. Where was the airplane one? Was that in Brussels?
We had a lot of airplanes.
The airport one was in Brussels.
Fort Lauderdale?
Brussels airport.
No, the bomb. Yeah, the bomb that was set off.
Brussels. That was Brussels.
Yeah. Brussels. Yeah, they had the whole area cordoned off beforehand, so they had all their actors in place before.
And you know what's really interesting about these is that almost in every case, and Serebra has even pointed this out in some of her videos on her channel. And by the way, anyone listening who's not already subscribed to Serebra Sana, I urge you to do that. That she deserves a lot more subs and a lot more attention because what she does is pretty damn important. I would say
I agree.
I want to remind people that in many, if not all of these cases where a bomb goes off or something significant happens, we call it a hoax or a false flag, that they're either A, already in the process of remodeling or reconstruction, or B, planning on reconstruction, remodeling.
Exactly. I mean, the Twin Towers had already been slated to be brought down at high expense because of asbestos.
That's correct. In fact, it was too high of an expense. It was cost exorbitant, and that's why they didn't do it. That's why they couldn't afford to do it, because it was cost prohibitive.
Yeah, it was in the billions of dollars.
I remember when the Brussels airport attack happened, when I looked at that images, the very first thing that came to my mind, because I am I'm a remodeling contractor, that's what I do. One of the first things I noticed in those images was up on the left-hand corner of the initial image of the initial bomb blast area. You could see what we call drop cloth. It's clear plastic that they drape over certain areas to keep dust out of a certain area when they're doing demolition and remodeling, to keep the dust out. You could very clearly see very large drop cloths on the very upper portion of the terminal. And I said to myself, what are they remodeling?
Right. Did you guys see one of my latest videos about the print shop? How he went?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Go ahead and explain that to those who don't know. But so yes, I absolutely did see that.
Yeah, no, it was just something that I had heard in the news fairly recently that just caught my eye again. And basically,
that's where they had the shootout, right? Which event was that specifically? Where the terrorists were held up and they had the shootout?
Yeah, this was part of the Paris attacks. And the Paris attacks was, I like to call it an innovation because it actually played out over several days. We had the oh, hang on. I get my hoaxes mixed up. Let me see. Charlie Hebdo. No. Charlie Hebdo. Hang on. I'm having a brain fuse happening. Charlie Hebdo. They went.
Hang on. Just a second, Serebra, please. Just hold on us 1 second. We have a request in the chat box to put a link in the chat because one of our viewers, New Being, would like a link to that document that you just showed. Now, the only person that can put a link in the public chat is the host of the show. So, what I need you to do, if you can, please, on the sidebar of the Hangout, if you put the link in the sidebar, then Ian can copy that and put it in the public chat.
A link to what document?
The document you were just showing a moment ago. Do you have a link to that, or is that?
No, that's local. That's local. I've downloaded. That's local.
Oh.
So I would have.
Can you give an indication as to where it can be found?
Let me just see. I got it off. It's
What was
off
the name? What was the name of it? Just give us the name of it again. I'll Google it.
Hang on, I'm just looking at. I'm just googling up because it's a sheep document.
Oh, that's right. It was HSEEP.
It was off the government website. Here, look.
It was
Right.
yeah,
Here's one.
HS.
Here, let me give you this link. I'm going to give you the link.
Here it is. I got it here. The evaluation program, FEMA.gov.
All right. Ian's got it.
Here's a link to the Google search that has all the different PDFs that come up in one list, so they can have a look at that.
Okay.
Okay.
Ian gave me some administrative privilege, so I'll see if I can drop it in the chat here. I'll try it.
Guys, you got to let me screen share this. I got to screen share.
No, go ahead.
Look at this. Look at this. Is this it? Look at this.
There, Ian just put it in the public chat. So new being, Ian just dropped that link in there for you. Go ahead.
Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I got you. Go ahead.
Look at this. This is what I typed into search, right? The H manual. And look what Google is pre-populating with the sheep. Look.
Oh, wow.
Sheep raisers.
Oh,
even Google is dyslexic.
oh my God.
So it's not a bunch of crazy people with dyslexia and you know, paranoia. it's in the algorithm.
That is because these things are programmed for spelling errors.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Artificial intelligence. You have to program these things in. So maybe it's saying,
Sure.
oh, maybe the person meant to type sheep. So let's give them sheep raisers manuals. How to raise sheep. This is hysterical.
That's wild.
All right, guys. So we've reached
awesome.
the top. We've reached the top of the second hour. I had another video. All right, I just wanted to play for everybody.
Oh, okay.
And it's about 3 minutes or so long. It's George Carlin's speech about the real owners.
Excellent.
Great.
So just because we were mentioning him earlier, that brought it to mind. I'll go ahead and get it queued up here. And
okay, so once again, we're here with Serebra Sana, and I want to remind everybody who's listening to check us out tomorrow at 3:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will have Thomas Sheridan with us, and we're going to take about a 3-minute break, and we will be back with Serebra Sana. And Ian, whenever you're ready to go, we're good.
But there's a reason. There's a reason. There's a reason for this. There's a reason education sucks. It's the same reason that will never, ever, ever be fixed. It's never going to get any better. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The real owners, the big wealthy businesses that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You have no choice. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets, and they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying to get what they want. Well, we know what they want. They want themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. Population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's right. They don't want people who are smart enough to sit around the kitchen table and figure out how badly they're getting fucked by a system that threw them overboard 30 fucking years ago. They don't want that. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork, and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours. Social Security money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it.
They'll get it all from you sooner or later because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club. By the way, it's the same big club they use to beat you over the head with all day long, and they tell you what to believe all day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. The table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged, and nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. Good, honest, hardworking people, white collar, blue collar, doesn't matter what color shirt you have on. Good, honest, hardworking people continue to modest means, continue to elect these rich cocksuckers who don't give a fuck about them. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you at all, at all, at all. You know? And nobody seems to notice, nobody seems to care. That's what the owners count on, the fact that Americans will probably remain willfully ignorant of the big red, white, and blue dick that's being jammed up their assholes every day. Because the owners of this country know the truth. It's called the American dream, because you have to be asleep to believe it.
Rest in peace, George Carlin.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yes, indeed.
All right, and we are back with Serebra Sana from Paris. I would urge everybody to hop on over to her channel and give her a subscription. She's doing good stuff over there. Invaluable, if you ask me.
Can I show something that I really, one of my favorite little videos with everybody?
You certainly can.
Sure.
This is a video I made. It was actually one of my first videos I made, and I reposted it when I started getting more subs. And now that I've got a few more subs, maybe some people haven't seen it yet. This is just a thing that I had noticed about our now former, your former president, Mr. Obama. And have you guys seen my Squirrel in Chief video? Have you guys seen it?
Squirrel in Chief?
Yeah, have you?
No, I have not seen it.
Oh, good. So this will be a first for you. All right, so I'm going to do screen. How do we do this? Do I do screen share and play it inside of YouTube? Is that all right?
Yeah, just do a screen share and show us whatever you like.
Okay. So I will do this.
Now, I've gone ahead and put a link to Serebra Sana's YouTube channel in the description in the video itself. So please go over there and give her a sub. Give her a thumbs up.
Thank you for that. Can you see it?
Yep.
Yes.
You see it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hang on just 1 sec, because I redid it. This is July 26th. Yeah, okay, this is the good one. Okay, here we go. Squirrel in Chief.
Go full screen. Air Force 2?
Yeah.
One guy that's a
Oh, Jesus.
Roger, go ahead and send it for us to
remotely piloted aircraft commonly referred to as drones. This new technology raises profound questions and the risk of creating new enemies about the legality of such strikes under U.S. and international law, about accountability and morality. America does not take strikes when we have the ability to capture individual terrorists. Our preference is always to detain, interrogate, and prosecute.
God bless America! Yeah, bitch!
Good job.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Wow. Yeah, that was funny up until we showed the guy getting blown up. So,
No, well, that's
I mean,
sorry.
it makes a really good satirical point.
That's the point of it. I mean, it gives me goosebumps to watch it. It pisses me off that people do shit like that, and the hypocrisy of it. Because he's saying we never. It's the juxtaposition of what he's saying and what you're actually seeing. We always prefer to capture and interrogate. No. And then you've got these pumped up, kids that they've been fed these drugs to make them want to kill. If you've done any research on that, they pump them up with these drugs because naturally a person doesn't naturally want to kill. They have to instill this desire.
That's
And
right.
because it's unnatural. So they're given injections, and then you hear them at the end, like, they cheer when they've just exploded,
That's right.
remotely exploded, right? They're sitting in a room pushing a button like a video game, right?
No, that's it.
It's dehumanized. It's outrageous. And it really, really upsets me that a country that I tell people over here, America benefits from the best marketing campaign ever. They have managed to create a brand image that they're the world's best buddy, and they really aren't. I mean, I'm talking about Americans. I'm talking about the people that run America, that work with the PR agency, that do this shit behind the scenes, that is anything but laudable. Being proud of your technology to go around and remotely hit a button and blow up an individual running for his damn life in the middle of
no kidding.
Come on. And then the squirrel in chief, I mean, apparently when I would show it to people here, they would burst out laughing. No one had really consciously registered those stupid little hands. He's got those stupid little squirrel hands, and it's just, he just kind of bounced those little hands down, like everywhere. And it just bothered me every time I saw him because he just looked so fake, Anyway, so that was Squirrel in Chief. Thank you for letting me show it. And I'm still sharing. I don't know why, but so that was that. So what shall we talk about? Shall we talk about Prism? Should we talk about the occult and the castles, the medieval castles?
Yeah, let's go. I want to get on to that in just a moment. After, if you don't mind, I wanted to cover some of the victim compensation funds that are not only prevalent in this country, but you brought to the attention in one of your videos that the niece, there's a France has done the same thing. $1.4 billion.
Yeah.
They had $1.4 billion at their disposal. 4.4 million have been paid out already to some of the victims of the France attacks.
Sure. Yep.
Sounds like hush money to me.
I'm going to do a screen share in just a moment as soon as I can get it queued up, and feel free to talk about the Victim Compensation Fund in Paris while I'm queuing this up. But I was watching one of your videos either today or yesterday while I was preparing for tonight's show, and you were talking about the 1.4 billion that they have at their disposal and the 4.4 million that have been paid out already. And it just reminded me, in fact, I'm going to do a screen share right now so that you can see what I'm Googling, because what's interesting is that you don't even have to type in very much to get to what I'm looking for here. All I did was type in 29 MILLI. I didn't even finish typing million. And look what comes up. Charleston Church shooting settlement. Government fast-tracked $29 million to Charleston, and that's on Snopes. And then there's all these others here. Charleston Church distributes $1.5 million to families of victims. U.S. to fast track $29 million to help Charleston shooting victims.
That sounds very much like Sandy Hook now, doesn't it?
You see here, can you see the purple? This one I've already looked at today, right? See there, right in the middle of the screen, the purple one?
Yep.
Okay. Check this out. I'm going to go on this website here. This is Massacre Pay Scale. Check this out. This is IWB, Massacre Pay Scale. Charleston, 29 million. Sandy Hook, 7.1 million. Boston Marathon, 8.3 million. Aurora Theater, 2.9 million. Look at this. Look at this. The Obama administration is giving Newtown another 7.1 million in federal funds for those allegedly impacted by the December 2012 mass shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary School. The grant comes from the U.S. Department of Justice for victims of crime and will pay for long-term mental health counseling for families. Law enforcement and first responders, they're getting some of that money too. Officials say some of the money will be set aside for school safety measures. Well, they should probably call Wolfgang Halbig on that one. Check this out. Yeah. The funds are being sent to Connecticut Office of Victim Services, which is part of Connecticut's judicial branch. From there, the money will be distributed to the town of Newtown and other organizations designed to serve the community, including Newtown Youth and Family Services, St. Rose of Lima Church, Newtown Resiliency Center, etc., etc. Quote, this grant will provide much-needed relief and support for Newtown to help this brave community. What did the community do that was so brave? Says Elizabeth Estley, U.S. Representative, 5th District, Connecticut, blah, 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 blah. On August 13th, the Obama Department of Justice doled out $2.5 million to law enforcement and first responders agencies involved in this December 14th, 2012, Sandy Hook. In May of 2013 and January of 2014, the U.S. Department of Education directed a total of $3.2 million to Newtown. Also in 2013, Newtown received $1.5 million grant from DOJ's Office for Victims of Crime. Overall, the federal government has now funneled a total of $14.3 million to Newtown region. And the next paragraph down, in October, Governor Daniel Malloy designated $50 million for Newtown to build a new school in place of the Sandy Hook facility. I mean, come on.
It's like 10 times the amount of money that any others. 7 times the amount.
Do we have a figure on Columbine? Philip has asked how much did Columbine get, and says he thinks that Columbine got by far the most.
He thinks that who got the most?
Columbine.
He thinks Columbine got the most. I have no idea.
That's what he says.
I looked at this article. It doesn't mention Columbine, but Philip, you have your own Google. And Philip, if that's a genuine question, you feel free to look it up. And if you find anything, let us know in the chat. But so far, Philip has not been a friend of the show, so we're going to let you stay until you get to be abusive. Other than that, I can't answer that. This article doesn't reference Columbine, as far as I know. But it does go on to say that Fed announced $2.9 million grant to aid services for Aurora Theater. Fatalities, blah, 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 blah.
They say that why would all these people do it? What would their motive be to hoax the public? Well,
yeah.
Question.
Oh, social engineering wouldn't have anything to do with it.
Well, it's just the people involved. You know, why would people say, oh, why would these people do that? That's
let's not forget that this money that I'm talking about right now has nothing to do with the GoFundMe accounts that these people are raking in.
True.
Yeah, the fake charity accounts. Right. Hosted days before the actual events occur.
Now, before we go any further, look, again, I want to remind you guys that I'm a construction and remodeling contractor. And right here in the middle of the screen, $50 million for Newtown to build a new school.
That's a lot of.
That's way too much.
Look, you guys, I'm in the construction business. It does not take $50 million to build a freaking school. It just doesn't take that much.
The average to build a new school is around $7 to $8 million. That's 7 times the amount of money they got from other schools that have been rebuilt.
I could show you examples right here in my own neighborhood. There was a little tiny plot of land that was left over that was unconstructed, and somebody decided to go ahead and build a house. They put a 2-story house on it. It had a 2 or 3 car garage. It's a fairly sizable house, and it sold for, I think, $178,000. Now, I know people personally who build houses as independent constructors, okay? People who build homes independently. They're not part of these giant corporations like, crap, it just left my head all of a sudden. Richmond American, okay, it's a big home builder, and out west, it was my father used to work for. And then, there are other large construction companies who build houses and build whole subdivisions. I can tell you right now that a friend of mine, as an independent home constructor, he can build a house, a 3 or 4 bedroom home on a sizable, decent property. I'm not talking acres. I'm, a third of an acre, half an acre. He can build a whole house on a half an acre of property for about, okay, this was maybe 10 years ago, so that was $55,000. You could buy a small plot of land and get all the materials, and he did most of the labor and himself and with his crew, and for about $55,000 he could put a house up, and it would sell for $125,000. Now that was about 10 years ago. Now this house in my neighborhood just recently sold for like $178,000. So in reality, it probably not more cost them maybe $75,000, maybe $100,000. Let's just go, liberal, okay? $100,000 it cost him to buy the property, build the house. $100,000 for $50 freaking million. Do you know how many of those 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom homes that I could build for $50 million? Do you have any idea?
Yeah. Blue Bud Guitar says in the chat, I'm in construction, built a huge casino hotel conference center. It was $50 million.
Thank you, Blue Blood. Thank you. That is why I love doing this show, is for people like you and comments like that. Thank you.
For a casino, hotel, and conference center.
All right, I'm done. Back to Serebra Sana. Serebra, you were talking about the Victim Compensation Fund. Go. I mean, in your video, you have a video about the France Victim Compensation Fund. What do you have to add to this?
Yeah, I don't really have anything to add because there's nothing really new that has come out since. There was some sort of commission that had been set up to investigate why security had failed and all that, but I stopped following it. But I did have a video in the works on Nice that I haven't posted yet, that I haven't even made yet, but I've done a whole lot of follow-up research, and I can just give you in the dans les grandes lignes. Basically what I came up with, what I discovered is, you know how they had the podiums with the band playing, the bands were playing all along that strip. You know the famous footage that we all saw of the truck allegedly mowing down the people in front of that bandstand?
Yeah.
Well, I have a problem with that. We never actually saw anyone get mowed down. Really.
No, I agree. I agree with that. I'm not.
It was too quick, and it was like a split second.
Well, it's CGI.
They turned the camera away, right, when the truck came near.
Yeah, it's CGI, but I wasn't bringing it up to talk about the CGI truck. I was talking about I was bringing it up because of the bandstand in front of which that scene took place. The research that I found is that band that was playing had won some sort of contest and had just released a single, which happens to be the snippet of music that you hear. I mean, it's only a few seconds, but that snippet of music that you hear when that CGI truck comes through the crowd was their hit single. So I thought that was kind of an odd coincidence, first of all.
Coincidence, yeah, right.
Yeah.
No, I've noticed that these people are highly trained too. I mean, the truck. Okay, whether or not you think there was CGI, I'm not really into the belief that it was actually a CGI truck itself. That what I saw in there, that they put the brakes on right after it went past the trees. We seen the truck completely slow down. Okay, and we've seen the same thing just recently. Attack there, where it's driving through the market.
Yeah.
Type of thing where the vehicle speeds up and then all of a sudden it sticks on the brakes, right? And the people that are trained in these exercises have very good reflexes, because out of the way at split second, right? Even though the car has slowed down considerably, right?
Well, what?
I'm not fully into the belief that it was a CGI truck. I don't know. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Well, let me be clear about what happens there, because we saw footage of a truck that was stationary where, all my Gecko Guy videos, Gecko Guy was that, guy on the moto scooter alongside the truck, and then there was some other guy.
Right.
Allegedly, there were actually 3 Gecko Guys that had at one point.
There was a guy running beside the truck too.
Yeah, running, catching up to the truck, hanging on to the driver's side, reaching into the window and actually smacking the driver. Some of these, one of the Gecko Guys said he was hanging onto the door and was actually hitting the driver while he was driving the truck. So, I mean, these are kind of far-fetched things. No, the CGI, I'm simply referring to that very grainy cell phone footage, which is only a few seconds long, where you see you don't see anybody getting hit, and you just see sort of a shape, a square, white square coming towards the camera. And the person filming apparently puts their hand down so the footage goes upside down and stuff. It's just those very few seconds to me that, as a video maker and a video editor, it doesn't look real to me. And when I say CGI, it's only those few seconds. And when you combine that with the fact that the background music that's playing at that precise moment is the sound, is the hit single that this band had just released, it seemed kind of an odd coincidence for that to have all happened like that naturally.
I agree. I agree, Serebra. I've done a lot of video work and graphics work, and that particular piece did not look real.
No. Everything else that we've seen, where the cops are on the street and the truck is, parked and stuff, all of that, I'm not saying there was there was a fake truck there. I'm just referring to those very, very few grainy seconds where it's actually an Italian woman who's like, Mamma Mia, I forget exactly what she's saying, but she's speaking.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, she's Italian. No. She says, Madonna, Madonna. That's what she's saying.
Right. Yeah, she says Madonna. She says Madonna, Madonna.
Madonna is like, oh my God, in Italian. So she's saying Madonna. So I'm just referring to that little.
Well, isn't Madonna Mother of God? Isn't that what that's supposed to mean?
Yeah, exactly. But I'm not. But yeah, it's Madonna.
Mamma mia.
A typical Italian expression of when you're shocked. So yeah, I was just
now my smoking gun for the Nice truck attack is the no blood anywhere on that truck.
Oh,
that's my smoking gun.
Yeah, and plus the truck was, this is all the aftermath that came out, where you've got well-meaning French people asking a government that's kind of clueless as to how is it possible that this truck was visible, parked where it was in the neighborhood, before the attack. It shouldn't have been there to begin with, and yet it was, because we've got restrictions on certain kinds of roads. You can't drive certain kinds of vehicles everywhere, and on that particular road, that type of truck wasn't supposed to even be on that road. So the question is, it's parked there. It's parked. It's a stationary vehicle. It's the wrong kind of vehicle for that road. So why didn't anybody watching those surveillance cameras notice a big truck that's not supposed to be there? It's not.
You're talking about the wrong kind of vehicle on any given day, not counting the fact that it was full of pedestrians and anything like that. That sort of truck is not supposed to be on that road at all. Period. Is that correct?
Wasn't it like 11 at night as well?
Yeah, but hang on. There's many things that I'm saying. That the truck was. This is what we were told, that the surveillance cameras, that you can see that truck parked in the neighborhood before. I think it showed up. It appears on the 13th, the day before the 14th. So it shouldn't have been there on the 13th, and no, it didn't raise any eyebrows. And then they're saying that it's the same truck because they're saying, oh, we can see he rode up to the truck on his bicycle, and he put the bicycle in the back of the truck, allegedly, right? And all of this, they know this because they could see it on the security footage. So then the well people are like, well, if you could see it on the security footage, you could see this truck shouldn't have even been parked there. So why didn't anybody go and have it removed, right? So there's kinds of things that indicate that something goofy was going on at some level, and it was allowed to happen. Did you follow what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
There's that aspect of it, and then what was the other? Oh, and then the other aspect in my videos, you may have noticed, or maybe not. I did so many of them, but the actual strip where the thing took place was really, really small. We're talking a couple of 100 meters, because they said, oh, the truck went wild, for 2 kilometers or whatever. Well, not exactly. It's a very, very small controlled area.
No, it was less than 2 blocks.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
We've seen that on that video.
Yeah. So I went and did, I actually found, because there were all these bandstands, I went and I got the program of the events. And it said, at podium number 1 or, whatever. They gave the exact placement for the different bands. No, they said which bands were playing. And then I went on yes, that's what I did. I went on the individual bands, Facebooks, websites, and all this stuff. Because it's a big event. To participate in this, it was the prom party, right, on the Promenade des Anglais. It was like a big thing to be part of it. So all of these different bands were out on their respective sites saying, hey, come check us out on the Promenade des Anglais on July 14. And So those individual sites gave me their precise locations because they were telling their own, fans where they could be found. So that's how I was able to identify exactly which band was playing in that exact podium when that supposed truck, that famous footage that we saw. And then when I heard the music, the band's own website was boasting about how they had been chosen as the winner for some contest, and that was their new single that was just being released. So I thought, well, this is getting them an awful lot of publicity really quickly, right? So anyway, so that's as far as Nice. There was a lot of problems, and then there was the whole controversy of the woman who said that she was being pressured to change her report. And that she didn't want to change it. Do you remember any of that?
Yeah.
Right. So I'm not exactly sure. I sort of stopped following it after a while because it just becomes so ridiculous. You don't know who to believe anymore. I always, like I've said earlier, what you want to do is you want to try to get the very first reports that come out, because generally speaking, those very first reports haven't been bastardized yet. They haven't been manipulated yet.
Well, there is one aspect to that as well. Within these psyops, they do actually put in deliberate, what we call injections into the actual events or into the actual story. Like, let's take Sandy Hook, for example. First, she was the teacher at the school. Yeah. Then this next second we find out, no, she wasn't. She was a substitute teacher at the school, Nancy Lanza, right? And then we find out the next day that, oh, sorry, that was all wrong. She never was a teacher at the school. Yeah. Same with Adam Lanza. First, the story was that he was a former student at the school. Then that turned out to be wrong as well, right? So they do try to muddy the waters right away to get everybody distracted and get them talking about basically fake news, right?
That gets everybody arguing. That's part of the divide and rule tactic, the Hegelian dialect, because when they put out all those false statements about an event, one person or a group of people will hear one story, and then another group will hear another story. Next thing you know, we hang out at the bar and says, hey, you hear what's going on? And then somebody says, yeah, I heard she was a student. Yeah, I heard she was a teacher. Yeah, I heard it was Adam's mother. And next thing you know, people are arguing over what they think they know.
And the whole thing about Dawn Hofsprung, who is the principal, who wasn't the principal, and here's a photo of her with a different name or something.
That's right.
It's insane. No, and I mean,
Sandy Hook is a good example for a lot of different things.
Yeah, it is.
If you want to talk about Sandy Hook, you know you got to call How I See Sandy Hook because he's the specialist on it. But
that's right. We had him on our show a couple months back. It was great.
Right. Can we talk briefly about Prism? Because Prism.
Yeah, do it. We got about 25 minutes to go. Let's do that.
Okay.
Serebra, I would absolutely love to have you back, and we can go into the deeper aspects of some of the occult stuff and the castles and stuff that you had wanted to bring up earlier. But as usual, the conversation gets a little bit derailed, and we don't always get to all of our talking points. So you're certainly welcome to come back at absolutely any time, and we would love to have you back. So just let's go ahead and get into Prism, and we'll go back and we'll have you back, and we can go into anything else.
Great. I appreciate that. Thanks. Yeah, well, because you've seen some of my videos where I rant and rave on user interfaces and why is it so complicated and why are they changing it again? And just earlier I was saying, you know, they hide the buttons. When you've got a blank screen, the average user just sees the blank screen and that's his life, right? Most people don't know, oh, maybe there's some buttons that will give me control over what I'm seeing. So the fact of hiding buttons became the way they made websites a couple of years ago. It pisses me off. So it's a way that you remove control from the user, and which simply means you can feed them much more easily whatever you want to feed them. They can't interact with it as much anymore. So they're forced to see what you're showing them, right? So the whole Prism thing, let me just screen share this if I can find it. How do I do this? I've got a window open. I guess maybe this is it. No, you're seeing chemtrails there, right?
Yeah.
How about now? You see Prism now? You see Prism?
I see changement.
Yeah.
You
We see
what?
just more or less a blank.
Changement. There we go. We've got chemtrails.
Yeah, but I don't want to show you chemtrails. I wanted to show you. You see Prism now?
No.
I see your screen. I see, what is that? Chargement?
Changement.
Chargement?
Means loading. Changement means loading, but it shouldn't be loading.
Okay, that's the French lesson for today, everyone.
Yes, indeed.
Chargement. Say it again, Serebra. Say it.
Écoutez et répétez. Chargement. It means loading. Chargement means loading.
That's too beautiful.
No.
Good God.
Now you got to get me speaking French when I'm actually speaking French. I'm speaking American. So I'm not going to say.
Okay.
I'm trying to get to my. Why can't I find my Prism photo? How do I share this with you? It's right here. Let me close my chemtrails. Let me close my other. Oh, I wanted to show you that too.
Well, you're not screen sharing right now, so I mean, if you screen share, you should be able to show anything that's on your screen.
Yeah, but it's not.
One would think.
I don't know.
It's not working because it's not showing me. It's not, and now it's not even seeing the window that's open. I've got I've got it right here. And how can I get you to see it?
Now, Serebra, I don't mean to throw you off the topic or anything a little bit, but we all have two-party systems, or here in Canada we have a three-party system, but it's mainly two.
Hang on.
Oh, there it is.
See it? Do you see it? Do you see?
Yes.
Okay, sorry to interrupt, but okay, I'm sorry. I'm listening to you now. What?
Okay, I'm not seeing it at the moment. It was there and then it was gone.
Topic too much. So.
No, go off topic. I'm listening. I was
just gonna say, what is your two-party system? The two-party system
in France? Oh, we don't have two parties. We've got like 10 parties.
10 different parties. Okay.
Are you seeing my Prism slide?
No,
I am.
You're not really. I'm not. No, I'm not seeing it.
No, now you've got the Google Hangout. So go back to the page you're on. There you go.
There you go. Yep, I see it.
You see it now?
Yes.
I do.
And if I go full screen, do you see it now?
No, do full screen again, the other way.
All right, I got you now. Everybody's got you. All right, cool. We're there.
There you go.
All right. Well, then what I'm saying is it doesn't work in full screen, so I have to leave it like this.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Okay. Yes, that's good enough.
Yeah,
Okay.
that'll work.
Prism, just like the nutshell version of it, is what got Edward Snowden into the spotlight, because he exposed this NSA spying program, which was codenamed Prism. And Prism was this thing that, what I've got on the screen is a slide from the Prism, the Prism PowerPoint presentation, where they outlined what it was and what they were doing with it. And this particular slide caught my attention because it absolutely coincides with these user interface complications that have been rolled out over time. And when you look at this slide says dates when Prism collection began for each provider. And you've got all these logos of the quote unquote providers up here. You've got
Yahoo, YouTube,
Hotmail,
Gmail, Facebook, PayPal,
AOL, YouTube, Skype. They're all there. Okay. And here you've got the timeline of when they joined, when they sold their soul to the devil, basically. It goes back to 2007. Remember, YouTube was only getting going in 2006, right? So,
right.
And Facebook only started getting going around 2007. Okay. So they're in their infancy at this stage. So you've got Microsoft was right in there from the get-go. Microsoft signed on, and I always hated Hotmail. When Hotmail first came on the scene, I got it, and my first reaction was, what the hell is this? My very first email address was a yahoo.com address way back when, okay? In the 90s, I got a Yahoo address. So, a lot of people would have Hotmail. A lot of people had AOL simply because it was sort of like presented as a foregone conclusion for a lot of people, right? So they roped in a lot of people just by default. But when I saw Hotmail, I was like, wow, this is really complicated. So then decades later, you find this Prism slide and you see that Microsoft was one of the first to sign on to Prism. So immediately my little conspiracy brain says, well, that explains the complexity of it, right? Because the more a user interface is complex, the less the user can actually interact with it with ease, right? So you've got Microsoft in 2007. Then you've got Yahoo joining in 2008. And Yahoo started changing a lot of stuff and started pissing me off big time because I love Yahoo. Then they started getting all weird and funky and changing and shit. And people were screaming, like, why are you changing this? And the users were really pissed. Okay, then Google comes on board with Gmail and everything, Facebook. I don't know what this Pal Talk is, but they came on board. Then we got YouTube and Skype. And Skype used to be fun. It was its little program. It was new, innovative. And then it started to get really weird. And then they rolled out the automatic updates, and then Microsoft bought it. And it just became, like even YouTube. YouTube was just a fun thing until it started to take flight, and then it gets bought out and then bastardized and the whole bit. So what you're seeing here is literally, if you go back and think of when did things start to get really screwy?
Oh shit.
Ironically enough, it kind of coincides with this timeline here. Right, so the more they're messing up the user experience, it was just proof that behind the scenes they were going data mining on steroids on us, basically. Yeah. And they were changing these interfaces behind the scenes to make it easier for them to just hoover up all our information, right? And the other thing that is blatant with the YouTube Google Plus bullshit is that they make it extremely easy. Twitter, Facebook, all of social medias, they make it extremely easy for us to generate the content and make it extremely difficult for us to go back and find our own stupid content, right? It's very difficult for us to actually find all our stuff and have access to it, because they don't give a shit about our being able to access our own stuff. They want access to our stuff. They want to make it easy for us to give them everything that they want.
That's exactly right.
All right.
And we've mentioned on our shows before about the fact that they actually funnel the viewers into, they segregate as well. You won't see notifications from subs. You won't, if you type in searches, you'll get something awkward, and they basically funnel, your viewership as well.
Yeah, well, we were talking offline about, here are some people you might want to, put under the microscope and stuff. And even with their name, their exact name, I was putting them in the YouTube search box, looking for them precisely. Here is the name of your own YouTube channel, YouTube, and YouTube wasn't showing them to me. It's like when you've even got the exact information, you still potentially cannot access that information for some reason, right? So I wanted to bring up this Prism thing simply because it is something that I noticed a long time ago, and being part geek, I used to do websites and stuff before it became all, god-awful control mechanisms. I don't want anything to do with the web anymore. It's not fun anymore. It's hideous what it has become. But I had noticed this pattern. I noticed it, and then when Prism all broke, I'm like, well, there you go. This explains what I had already noticed over the years. That they're just trying to get our information, text message, right? The whole thing, there were studies that were done when cell phones first started to take off. They knew that most people were the length of a telephone call made with a cell phone was on average about 90 seconds long. And that was not on average. It's like the longest was 90 seconds. Because people were using the cell phones to basically say, yeah, I'm on my way, I'll be there quickly. And it was like short. Nobody was conversing on cell phones.
Just I want to throw this as a caveat. In the very beginning, when cell phones were in their fledgling state, they were very expensive, and people were, they were counting their minutes, and it was very, very expensive. And so that might account for the short duration.
I totally agree with you. But what happened was they began to see an opportunity to be able to harness more information. Because remember, when the iPhone came out, nobody knew that the iPhone had all these, geolocalization and all this kind of stuff that was turned on by default. No one knew that they could turn on your microphone in your phone and listen to you, that it was essentially not a wiretapping, but it was essentially an eavesdropping device. Nobody knew all this. And because I have, like I said earlier, I do have contacts that know stuff, from the inside. They had told me eons ago, don't ever let anybody touch your phone. You have to have your phone with you because they could put a bug in it or they could do something to it. But then it became, they don't even need to do that anymore because the software was rewritten to have these remote control capabilities, right? Which coincides again with this kind of thing. As the thing progressed, they developed new and improved ways that they could access what we were actually doing and saying, including remotely turning on your microphone. And so when the smartphone came on the scene, I always said from day one, I said, this isn't a phone, it's a pocket computer. Let's call it what it is. It's a pocket computer that lets you make a phone call, because let's face it, the quality of the actual phone call was crap. You couldn't even hear the person because that wasn't its primary role. The primary role was, let's give these people a way that's going to let them give us more information about them. That's the purpose of these devices.
It's all about data mining. It's not very smart, if you ask me.
No, it's not.
Yeah, really.
So what I'm saying, once they knew that a voice call was very short, then you had text messaging coming up on the scene, and people would start to text. Great if you data mine, because once you have something written, it's searchable. It's much easier to search. I'm hearing feedback again. It's much easier to search a written document than it is to to analyze voice.
That's right.
Is harder to analyze. And this is why the new push now is, it's Cortana. Talk to Cortana, and talk to your Google Assistant, and talk to your Siri.
Talk to Siri. Yeah.
The whole new wave was, now that they had everybody texting, right? Nobody even makes a phone call anymore. Like I think in the metro, I'm like, what the heck are you? The thumbs are going mad, and it's like, if it's that, why don't you pick up the phone and tell the person? I just don't understand how these people, in the list of subjects that I sent you guys, it was like the manipulation of the need to belong and how they've manipulated the masses. It's like all of a sudden you need to text people because this is what you do. You don't talk to people anymore. You text them for some reason, which I find extremely strange. It's strange, but it works to their favor. This is what you need to understand. Every time you're typing out your life in a little message with your two little thumbs like a monkey, it's like, hey, you're making it so much easier for them to data mine you. This is what people need to understand. And the Siri and the Google Assistants and the Cortanas, all of your speech is uploaded and analyzed on their servers, okay?
Yeah, voice recognition software.
Exactly. And you just easy. Sorry, go ahead.
One thing I just wanted to put in about my choice when I had a phone to text over talk is that I really hated to put that phone up to my head, and texting kept it a little further away.
No, I can understand that, and that's a valid point. That's a whole other issue, the Wi-Fi and all that stuff, and that's another issue. But I'm just saying there was a concerted effort to push our content into formats that suit them, right? And like I say, searching a text file is much easier than trying to extract voice data because all our voices are different. But writing is all the same for everybody, more or less. Right? So it's easy.
Pretty much, yeah, with minor syntax issues. Pretty much, yeah.
And with texting as well, it really dumbs down the English language to a point too. Like, where everything is abbreviated, right?
Oh yeah. Well, somebody said to me, literally for the first time, somebody said to me last week, I made a joke, and the person responded, LOLs. The person,
like to your face?
The person said LOLs.
Like to your face, they said LOL.
Sitting across the table from me, they said to me,
oh my gosh.
And I just thought, it took a minute. Like, my brain was like, did I just hear what I think I heard? And I'm like, oh my God.
Did you reply OMG?
No, I said LMAO.
WTF.
No.
What? Yeah, WTF?
I attended a conference on the French language, the evolution of the French language. I attended a conference a couple of years ago, and they were trying to say that texting was ruining the French language. And I was fascinated by the presenters and stuff. And I agree that it's not ruining it. It's just a new way to communicate, but it can't replace anything that has preceded it. It's just a new way to communicate. And it needs to be, it can really only exist in its own environment, because I really don't want somebody looking at me and going, LOLs. No, I'll understand that on my text message, but don't say that to me, for God's sake.
Laugh. Yeah, laugh. Just laugh out loud.
Anyway, so yeah, I mean, it's a new form of communication. I mean, to go way back in history, think about the teletype machine, or the what do you call it? The thing with the
stenograph. What's it called?
No.
Telegraph. Telegraph.
No. What's the thing that you had before? I just got what was the message that they would send? The beep, beep, beep.
It was a beeper. It was a beeper.
No. Morse code. You had the Morse code, and then you had. Yeah,
It was a telegraph. Telegraph, wasn't it?
Smoke signals.
No, I can't think of it. It was before
Telegraph.
Well, anyway, there's always been ways to communicate, and there was always some element of coding and shortening and stuff. So it's really nothing new. The only thing that's new now is the fact that it's all being uploaded and analyzed and sold and manipulated and potentially used against us and all of this, because these things are programmed to recognize the keywords, which we all know, right? Because you have to understand that behind artificial intelligence, there are humans that are making the machines smart, right? They have to be able to program the machine first to give it the capability to analyze whatever, right? So this is I know we only have a couple minutes left, so I don't want to like go over time and stuff, but I'm just saying it's a vast endeavor that they're doing. And the more that the people buy into it and allow themselves to be sucked into this. I mean, I bump into zombies daily. They walk around with their head bent over their stupid phones, and they're obsessed with their phones.
Oh yeah. I nearly ran into one of them literally yesterday. I won't tell you the whole story, where I was going, what I was doing, but literally turned off of the main highway into a side street, into a business area, and a guy was walking across the street, and he was face down into his phone or whatever. I'm pretty sure it was his phone he had in his hand, and he was literally right in the middle of the street. He was walking really slow. He was completely oblivious to traffic, and had to honk my damn horn, and it was, you know. And then today, literally today, leaving the grocery store, this woman was putting her shopping cart away as she was gathering her bags and about to walk out. Her son, who was maybe 5 or 6 years old, was well outside of the doors, nearly into the traffic area of the shopping the driveway of the shopping area, and she screamed at him, and I looked, and 5-year-old kid's got a damn phone, and his head is planted down, completely oblivious to his surroundings. So I hear what you're saying. You know, it has its uses, and we've had discussions before about culture and how people complain about their cultures being destroyed from one way or the other. You know, with the immigrants, the refugees, and our culture is being destroyed. And I've argued that there literally is no such thing as culture. It is a fluid thing. Culture is, and that includes language, by the way, that it's a very fluid thing, that it's a temporary thing, and whatever culture we have at the moment is only a current manifestation of what it's going to be in the future. Language changes, culture changes. It's part of it. It's part of life. But you make a very valid point that people who are completely oblivious, who just like monkeys are typing away with their thumbs and are completely oblivious, that they're not conscious of their actions in the sense that you were describing, that that all this data mining is going on, and people really should be a little more aware, a little more conscious of their daily actions.
Yeah, I know we want to close out, but one of the things I noticed, I have a smartphone. I don't use it to call people, but I use it to get my email, because when I'm not in my office, I need to see if someone's, you know, written to me or whatever. So I use it for that. And then I've seen my emails and I put it back in my bag. End of story. And I spend most of my time looking at other people and their phones to see what they're looking at. And the majority of people are looking at selfies of other people.
Yeah. I've got a really, like my best friend, my personal best friend and his girlfriend / fiance, every time they go out to dinner, it's like, and I don't do Facebook, but I hear from my wife, who is on Facebook, and she's only on Facebook because her work forces her to be, and so now she's involved in Facebook. Every time my friend and his girl goes out to dinner, it's like, hey, here we are, we're at Carrabba's, and this is what we're having. It's like, Jesus Christ, are you kidding me? Really? Are we 14 years old?
Yeah. Have you guys seen the video, Put Your Phone Down? Have you seen that?
No.
Oh my God. Do we have time? It's 3 o'clock.
We can certainly do a few minutes of overtime. We're not corporate controlled. We can do what we want, huh? Do it.
Somebody posted a video called, somebody shared it or something. Put your phone down. It is brilliant. If I can find it, let me just find it. Put your phone down.
Well, we'll take this time while she's looking there to thank everybody in the chat for being here tonight. We've got a few new people in here that thanks for coming by. New Bean, Blue Blood Guitar, Illusion Shattered.
It's crazy to me.
Sorry, I found it.
Yeah, Zach Juxtaposed showed up earlier.
Zach Hawkins was joined in a little while ago.
Punchy
Zach Hawkins was here. Dean's dude was here.
Thanks to our regular house trolls, Michael Resnicki, wherever the hell you are, sticking up your ass.
And all 10 sock puppets that come with Michael Resnicki. Thanks for all those. Hey, Conscientious Objector made an appearance earlier. Thanks for that. Oh, by the way, Conscientious Objector, he's responsible for acquiring our interview tomorrow with Thomas Sheridan, by the way. So big thanks to Conchi.
He'll be on the panel then tomorrow?
Yeah, he will.
Tomorrow at 3 p.m.
We have
Eastern.
Depolarized Sheeple was here.
Depolarized Sheeple, yeah.
Yeah, thanks everybody for being here. We got Serebra Sana, and Serebra, thank you so much. I know it's late for you, and you're staying up late for us, and thank you for that. That's a big deal. We recognize that it's 3 a.m. for you right now. So big thanks to Serebra Sana for tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, Serebra, for coming. It sounds like we're just getting you warmed up, though.
I know, right? It happens every time. At the end of the show, the conversation always gets better at the end.
Well,
Joe?
I'm thrilled to have spent time with you guys. You're all great, and it's great to know that I'm not the only one out there, trying to find the truth and trying to get it out there and open other people's eyes. So we do have to stick together, I think. And, we joke about the trolls, the shills. Once you've seen that Sunstein report, once you've seen the Prism report, once you know that this is a battle, right? They're on their side and we're on our side. This is war, people. I say to people all the time, this is our Vietnam.
It's a war for our mind, that's for sure.
This is our Vietnam. This is a battle that we have to fight, and you choose your sides. And I ignore the trolls. I mean, they want us to pay attention to them. We just have to know how to defeat them. And by defeating them, you block them, you report them, whatever you have to do. But don't let them, break your rhythm. That's what they're there to do.
Yep.
So,
well, we're facing some scary times. I mean, there's some YouTubers out there that are really, they're getting into trouble. Whether they're real or not real stories, I don't know. But it's, we're facing some troubling times.
Absolutely. If you looked at the PK story, the PK story was a story of cops that are told to go get him, and they don't even know why. Right.
Right.
They just went.
So we need to band together as a unit. We're meeting people everywhere across the world. We're all getting together, sharing ideas, sharing our thoughts. Everybody's got their opinions on different things. And that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah, and I would just like to take this opportunity to say, if there are people out there who are in Paris, and if you're not a troll, contact me. I would love to meet this person. We need to get offline. We have to be smart when we go offline, but we have to go offline as well and actually connect with other people. And it will do us all some good, because how many real world friends do we have that we can talk about these things? There aren't many. So.
Yeah, bravo to that. And in fact, we have one of our friends who's been in the chat, and he usually shows up for our shows, Zach Hawkins. He actually lives right around the corner from me. And to this day, we have still not met each other, but we're very aware of each other. He's a very busy guy, and his father is in serious condition. He's a primary caregiver. He works full time. He doesn't have a lot of time. But one of these days, me and Zach Hawkins are going to sit down and shake hands and have a beer, and I'm going to meet this guy. He lives literally probably 10 minutes from me. And it's a whole story how him and I met online, and it actually involves a little bit of PK. But anyway, that's a whole other story. So if you have that other video ready to go, let's go ahead and see that video. Get off your cell phone, and then we'll close the show.
Got it. It's right here. Can you see it?
What's crazy to me is nobody ever talks in person anymore, Like, you got Twitter and Facebook and everybody's sending text messages, but like nobody's ever sitting down like this and just talking, you know? I mean, for all these technologies, we're actually further apart. You know what I'm saying? Hello? Excuse me, sir, could you please put your phone down? You're not walking straight. You're stumbling around. You're in public, man. You're being kind of rude. Your text messages are not that important, dude. Excuse me, lady, could you please put your phone down? You're talking too loud like nobody's around. I'm sure your friend can wait to hear what you have to say. I don't want to know that much about your day. I'm standing online at my favorite cafe, trying to get my coffee like I do every single day. This dude in front of me is texting up a storm, thumbs moving like bees in a damn swarm. I mean, it's none of my business how you spend your time, but pay attention, dude. You're like next in line. He finally gets to the counter and is like, I'm like, man, you're hella dumb. Excuse me, sir, could you please put your phone down? You're not walking straight. You're stumbling around. You're in public, man. You're being kind of rude. Your text messages are not that important, dude. Excuse me, lady, could you please put your phone down? You're talking too loud like nobody's around. I'm sure your friend can wait to hear what you have to say. I don't want to know that much about your day. The other day, I was at the gym trying to get a workout. This lady walks in. I don't know what she's talking about. She's on her phone like she's speaking at a seminar. I'm like, damn, do you have any sense for where you are? Telling family business? I mean, like everything. I'm trying to tune her out. But then I heard this ding. Oh, that's a text from the clinic. I'm all clear. Man, that's more than I wanted to hear. Excuse me, sir, could you please put your phone down? You're not walking straight. You're stumbling around. You're in public, man. You're being kind of rude. Your text messages are not that important, dude. Excuse me, lady, could you please put your phone down? You're talking too loud like nobody's around. I'm sure your friend can wait to hear what you have to say. I don't want to know that much about your day. So like the other night, I went to dinner with my friends. It's been a while, grab a beer, you know, catch up with them. We're just chilling at this restaurant around the way. And these dudes will not put their phones away. I'm like, what's up, guys? It's been a while. How you been? They're like, hold on, bro. I'm on Facebook checking us in. I'm like, dang, man, I started getting bitter. You don't have to answer in person, man. Just hit me back on Twitter. Excuse me, sir. Could you please put your phone down? You're not walking straight. You're stumbling around. You're in public, man. You're being kind of rude. Your text messages are not that important, dude. Excuse me, lady. Could you please put your phone down? You're talking too loud like nobody's around. I'm sure your friend can wait to hear what you have to say. I don't want to know that much about your day.
Brilliant.
Put your phone down. Put your phone down. Put your phone down. Put your phone down.
That was great.
I just want to thank PK because it was PK who I saw it on PK's channel. So, shout out to PK.
Once again, thanks everybody for being here. Thanks again, Aaron. It's been a pleasure again, Amy.
Indeed.
And very special thanks to Serebra Sana for staying up late and joining us tonight for our chat. Like Aaron was saying, you're free to come back any old time. Just send us an email.
Thank you very much for having me. I'd love to come back and talk about the occult and the chateaus and
for sure, yeah, that'd be definitely a 3-hour conversation. We could probably have 4 parts to that, hey?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had no idea you were into such things, and you have chateau. It's a Rennes Chateau in France.
I'm sorry.
Right? Is that Rennes Chateau is in France?
Say that again.
It's called, I believe, Rennes Chateau. Rennes Chateau. That's the church that has. It's called the Apprentice Pillar.
Reims. It's a cathedral in Reims.
Right. Okay.
RIMS. Is that what you're saying? Maybe.
I believe it's called Rend, Rendle, Rennes Rennes Chateau.
Rennes. I don't know. I'll have to look that up. I don't know off the top of my head.
Well, I'll tell you what. You just look up Apprentice Pillar.
Okay, I will do that.
And it's in this church or cathedral. It's an amazing work of craftsmanship and stone, by the way. But it's an important piece of not only history, but it's also on one of the rose lines that or the ley lines that people speak of on Earth.
Yeah,
so it has this very esoteric and occult history to it.
Yeah, I just looked it up. I see it. Rosslyn Chapel. Yeah, no, I
Right, so we can talk about that next time you're on for sure.
It's in Scotland.
Okay, well that's Rosslyn Chaplin. Okay. Well, maybe I'm not pronouncing it right, and maybe I don't know how to spell it properly, but it's called Rennes Chateau. And I'll find it for you, and when I find it, I'll send you a message or a comment or something on your channel or email or something, and I'll let you know once I figure out exactly how to get my tongue to work and how to figure out how to spell it.
Okay. All right. Well, great. It was a pleasure to be with you guys tonight. You have a great show, and I was really happy to be part of it. So,
thank you so much.
Well,
Amy, any final last words?
I think it was absolutely awesome experience to be on with Serebra. I've always wanted to do something like this with you, Serebra.
Perfect.
Thank you.
So I've been very thrilled.
I had hopes of having a live show of my own at one point, and for life reasons and other things, it just never happened. So I'm really happy to be here with you guys. Whenever you want me, I'm ready to come back.
Well, you're more than welcome to come back anytime, literally anytime. The show has actually started, Ian and I literally just started chatting on a weekly basis. So it was just two guys on the couch. And we turned it into what we called it. We gave it a name, and we decided to start inviting people. And the next thing you know, we're talking to world-class researchers. We've had, despite what people think about them, we've had Fetzer on, we've had Ole Demigard on. We had literally the best conversation I've ever had in my life with Dr. Joseph Farrell. Tomorrow we have Thomas Sheridan. It's really taken on a life of its own. We're starting to look like we're booked out a couple of weeks ahead right now. And we're starting to getting so many people on the show now. We're starting to have to do 2 shows a week. So it's really turning into something spectacular. I love speaking to people around the world, getting perspectives. I love having the live chat and people in the chat box who can correct our mistakes and add to the conversation in a live setting. It's just utterly fantastic. So don't be afraid. Just do it.
Just so you know, we do have March 10th open.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right, guys. Well, on that note, this has been another episode of Conspiracy or Not. Here we come.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much, Serebra. Thank you for your time, and thanks for staying up late, hon. I know it's late for you. Go get some rest, and we'll see you next time.
Great. You're more than welcome. Have a great rest of your night, everybody. See you soon.
All right. Love you all.
Good night,
everybody. Be good. And by the way, the live chat box will be live for several minutes, and I'll hang out and talk to people. So don't run off. Ian, whenever you're ready, bro.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks, Serebra. Talk to you soon.
Okay. Thanks. Bye.